Chen Yang thought for a moment. Then he slowly began to speak. Yes, that is indeed a good idea. After all, the hot pot at Xiangxiang Pavilion is indeed very delicious. Su Qi, you haven't tried it before, but I assure you, it will definitely surprise you. Upon hearing this, Yi Qingye immediately agreed. Since Qingye has put it that way, let's go to Fragrance Pavilion. Su Qi, Zhuang Yue, and Wu Meishuang were not disappointed. After all, it doesn't matter where you go to eat, and they don't have to spend any money. Most importantly, they trusted Yi Qingye's recommendation. Not long after, the group then arrived at the luxury van. Lin Yuan quickly got out of the car and opened the door immediately. Seeing this scene, a hint of surprise flashed across Su Qi's face as she asked, Chen Yang, Qingye, is he your personal driver? Yes, the driver is provided by the company. Chen Yang nodded slightly and said with a smile, Get in the car. Yi Qingye gestured for Su Qi and the other two to get into the car. Good. Su Qi, Zhuang Yue, and Wu Meishuang responded obediently. As everyone took their seats, the van headed towards Xiangxiang Pavilion. On the road, Yi Qingye took out her phone and dialed Su Menjiao's number. Yiyaya, where are you? As soon as the call connected, Yi Qingye asked Su Menjiao. I'm at the Xiangxiang Hot Pot restaurant right now, of course. Qingye, you have no idea how booming our store's business has been lately. It not only became a hit on WeChat Moments, but also some social media platforms actively pushed a lot of traffic to drive customers to the store. From the moment the shop opens in the morning until night, it's always packed. The store's revenue has long surpassed the amount we made on our opening day. So recently, whenever I don't have classes at school, I come over to help out. Su Menjiao replied to Yi Qingye with excitement and a thrilled tone. Here's the thing, Chen Yang, my 3 roommates, and I are going to have dinner at Xiangxiang Pavilion later. Please reserve a private room for me. We'll be there in 20 minutes. Yi Qingye chuckled softly and said, Chapter 243, Revisiting the Immortal Fragrance Pavilion. Su Menjiao's shock. Upon hearing this, Su Menjiao readily agreed without hesitation. Okay, no problem. I've reserved the best private room for you. 20 minutes later, the van arrived at the food street. The car doors opened, and everyone got off one after another. Chen Yang and Yi Qingye walked hand in hand ahead. Su Qi, Zhuang Yue, and Wu Meishuang followed closely behind. Soon, they arrived at the entrance of the Fragrance Pavilion. Mr. Chen, Ms. Yi. Upon seeing Chen Yang and Yi Qingye, the beautiful female server at the entrance bowed slightly and greeted them warmly. Chen Yang and Yi Qingye nodded to her, then strode into the Fragrance Pavilion. Chen Yang, Qingye, how come the waiter here recognized you at a glance? Are you very familiar with the owner here? Zhuang Yue's eyes flickered, and she immediately asked curiously. This hot pot restaurant was opened by my best friend, and my husband and I own some shares. So strictly speaking, we are shareholders of this hot pot restaurant. Yi Qingye smiled and explained to Zhuang Yue. Hiss. Upon hearing this, Zhuang Yue, Su Qi, and Wu Meishuang gasped, their faces filled with shock. They never expected that Yi Qingye's family was so wealthy. These students, also nearing graduation, were still worried about which company to apply to after their thesis defenses. But Yi Qingye and Chen Yang have already invested in a hot pot restaurant and become their own bosses. Indeed, the differences between people are truly enormous. Most importantly, this hot pot restaurant is located in such a prosperous food court, and the initial investment alone is already a considerable sum. Having the courage to invest and take the risk of losses. Based on this alone, he is far ahead of his peers. Of course, they didn't know that Chen Yang and Yi Qingye hadn't spent a single penny on this hot pot restaurant. They had invested their expertise entirely based on Chen Yang's secret recipe for hot pot broth and dipping sauce. The group quickly arrived at the hall and found it to be incredibly crowded, with every seat already taken. Su Qi, Zhuang Yue, and Wu Meishuang were once again shocked by what they saw. They'd seen hot pot restaurants packed before, but one this lively, with all the diners wolfing down their food, was truly rare. Qingye, Chen Yang, have you arrived? I've already had the private room prepared. Please bring your friends and follow me. Just then, Su Menjiao came down from the 2nd floor and immediately went up to greet Chen Yang and Yi Qingye with enthusiasm. Let's go upstairs to a private room. It'll be quieter there. Yi Qingye spoke softly to Su Qi and the other two. Then he followed Su Menjiao and walked towards the stairwell. Upon seeing this, Su Qi, Zhuang Yue, and Wu Meishuang exchanged a glance and quickly followed. Not long after, the 3 of them arrived at the large private room on the 3rd floor. Qingye, Chen Yang, What have you two been busy with lately? I haven't seen you two for a while. You've been acting so mysteriously. What have you been up to? After Su Menjiao pulled Yi Qingye to sit down, a hint of curiosity flashed in her eyes, and she couldn't help but ask. We didn't do much, just accompanied Chen Yang back to his hometown to meet his parents and relatives. Then I took Chen Yang back to Kyoto with me so he could meet my grandparents. To be honest, it's about formally meeting both sets of parents. Yi Qingye smiled sweetly. Then he slowly spoke to Su Menjiao. No way, you two have already met each other's parents. So does that mean we should start talking about marriage next? Upon hearing this news, Su Menjiao's expression instantly froze. Clearly, she never expected that Chen Yang and Yi Qingye had developed to this point. However, the thought that Yi Qingye was pregnant and the fetus was almost 3 months along made her hesitate. This matter really can't be delayed any longer. Rather than doing that, we might as well go with the flow and just get the wedding done. It also allows the child to be born legitimately, avoiding any negative consequences. Yes, that's right. I forgot to tell you, my parents and Chen Yang's parents officially met a few days ago, and we held a simple engagement banquet. So, nominally speaking, Chen Yang is no longer my boyfriend, but has been upgraded to my fiancé. I've even considered getting a marriage certificate with Chen Yang ahead of time, and officially becoming husband and wife. Yi Qingye nodded with a smile. Then he revealed an even more bombshell to Su Menjiao. Su Menjiao was completely stunned and stood there for a long time, unable to calm down. What, you two are already engaged? This is way too fast. After her initial shock, Su Menjiao asked Yi Qingye again, her tone incredulous. It's not fast. From meeting the parents to getting engaged, we were busy for more than half a month. Moreover, the news hasn't spread far, and not many people know about it. Both our families are quite low-key, and we plan to have a big wedding after I give birth to the child. Yi Qingye said with a light laugh. Sister, you're amazing. They managed to secure Chen Yang, this high-quality stock, so quickly. In this way, the possibility of those seductive vixens outside seducing Chen Yang will be completely eliminated. After all, your family has such strong connections. Even if Chen Yang had a lot of guts, he would never dare to do anything to betray you. Thinking about this, Su Menjiao was genuinely happy for her best friend. Despite being so young, she is about to become a mother and a wife. But her boyfriend is Chen Yang. He's handsome, has a great personality, and is affectionate and devoted. She is equally at home in formal settings and in the kitchen. She has her own career, which allows her to earn money to support her family. And she is also a great cook, which satisfies her appetite. It's presentable in every aspect. No woman could resist such a perfect man. Now, however, he has become Yi Qingye's fiancé. Even in her dreams, Yi Qingye would wake up laughing. We are truly in love, and it has nothing to do with our family background. Of course, what really brought us together was this child who suddenly appeared in the world. If it weren't for that, I wouldn't have been able to see Chen Yang clearly what kind of man he really is. Nor would I have been attracted by his charm and fallen hopelessly in love with him as I got to know him better. At least that's what Yi Qingye thinks. After all, Chen Yang had no idea about her background before this. I was simply attracted by her beauty, figure, and personality. In the end, they were determined to take on the responsibilities on their shoulders without hesitation. That's true. Whenever this matter is mentioned, Su Menjiao felt extremely frightened. After all, she bears an undeniable responsibility for this matter. It's truly fortunate that Yi Qingye and her family didn't pursue her mistakes. Fortunately, Yi Qingye met Chen Yang, a good man. Su Menjiao couldn't even imagine how things would have turned out if it had been someone else. But one thing she was absolutely certain of, that is, she and the Su family behind her will inevitably suffer the wrath of the Yi family. Chapter 240, For the Delicious Hot Pot Wins Over Roommates, and Xiangxiang Pavilion is booming. Just as Yi Qingye and Su Menjiao were whispering to each other, Chen Yang called over a waiter and handed the tablet for placing orders to Su Qi, Zhuang Yue, and Wu Meishuang. With a faint smile, he said to them, "Take a look and see what you'd like to eat and order whatever you like. The soup base and dipping sauce at this hot pot restaurant are absolutely superb. I guarantee that after you eat here, you will become a repeat customer. When you eat other brands of hot pot, you will feel a huge difference." Upon hearing this, Su Qi's eyes widened and she asked instinctively, "Is it really that delicious?" "Of course, you'll know whether I'm lying to you or not once you've tasted it." Chen Yang replied with a smile. "Then we'll wait and see." Su Qi and her 2 companions ordered a hot pot with 2 broths, and also ordered several plates of beef tenderloin, fatty beef, tripe, beef balls, plus some enoki mushrooms, vegetables, and shrimp paste. Let's order these first, and you can add more as you see fit. After saying that, Su Qi then handed the tablet back to Chen Yang. Seeing this, Chen Yang thoughtfully added a few more side dishes that Yi Qingya particularly liked. 7 or 8 minutes later, the waiter then brought the soup base, along with the beef and side dishes that they had ordered, to the table. In addition, there are individual dipping sauces prepared for each person. Afterwards, only one waiter remained in the private room to serve the guests. For example, helping to cook the meat and serve the food. Chen Yang and his group were just waiting for the meat and side dishes to cook before they could start eating. The service and attention to detail were excellent. Soon, the aroma of the hot pot broth wafted through the air, making one's mouth water. Once the meat and side dishes are cooked, they are placed on a plate by the server. Chen Yang smiled slightly, then called out, "Everyone, stop standing there and start eating. Try it and see how it tastes." These words were spoken. Su Qi, Zhuang Yue, and Wu Meishuang had long been unable to contain themselves. They picked up their chopsticks, took large chunks of beef, and placed them in the dipping sauce. After dipping it in the sauce, I ate it in big bites. A delicious flavor that defies description exploded on their taste buds in an instant. The meat is firm, tender, and has a rich, milky aroma. This tastes absolutely amazing. Wow, this tastes so delicious. Is this still beef hot pot? It feels like it's on a completely different level from the hot pot I've had before. Su Qi considers herself a food connoisseur and has tried various chain beef and mutton hot pot restaurants. But the hot pot at Xiangxiang Pavilion tasted exceptionally delicious to her. It was so delicious that she couldn't help but swallow her tongue. Whether it's the umami flavor of the broth, the freshness of the beef, or the taste of the dipping sauce, they are all absolutely superb. When these three ingredients are combined, it's as if a magical chemical reaction occurs, amplifying the deliciousness 100-fold. The hot pot broth and dipping sauce are absolutely a secret recipe. Otherwise, it would never be so delicious. Until this moment, Su Qi then understood why Yi Qingya and Chen Yang had such a high opinion of the Xiangxiang Pavilion hot pot restaurant. Anyone with a normal sense of taste and no problems can clearly tell the difference between this hot pot restaurant and other hot pot restaurants on the market. No wonder the tables in the lobby on the first floor were packed, and every guest looked like they were wolfing down their food. She was laughing at others just a moment ago, but in the blink of an eye, her eating habits are probably no better than theirs. In fact, it's even more exaggerated. Chapter 245, The Vision for Building a Nationwide Chain Hot Pot Brand. This hot pot tastes absolutely amazing. It seems Qingya's recommendation was indeed correct. If it weren't for her suggestion, we might have missed out on this delicious hot pot today, Zhuang Yue said with a look of relief. With this delicious taste, it's no wonder that hot pot restaurants are so popular. To be honest, if Qingya hadn't been a shareholder of this hot pot restaurant and had the owner reserve a private room for us in advance, we probably would have had to wait a long time to enjoy such delicious food. Qingya, thank you, and Chen Yang for your hospitality. Wu Mei picked up the drinks from both hands and offered them to Yi Qingya and Chen Yang. Come on, let's have a go at them. Su Qi also picked up the drink in front of her and gestured. Dry. Zhuang Yue nodded in agreement. The atmosphere in the private room instantly became lively. Su Qi, Zhuang Yue, and Wu Meishuang kept eating with their chopsticks the whole time. Beef rolls, lamb rolls, and various side dishes were devoured by them, making them look like complete foodies, completely devoid of their usual ladylike demeanor. Yi Qingya hadn't had hot pot for a while, so I couldn't control myself and accidentally ate too much. I don't know how much time passed. On the dining table, there was a tall stack of plates. The meal ended only when everyone's bellies were full, and their faces showed a satisfied expression. After the meal, Chen Yang used a ride-hailing app to call a private car and took Su Qi, Zhuang Yue, and Wu Meishuang back to school. He, Yi Qingya, and Su Menjiao went to a private tea room on the third floor of the Xiangxiang Pavilion. After taking their seats, Su Menjiao couldn't help but smile and say, Chen Yang, Qingya, congratulations on your successful engagement. We're one step closer to achieving our goal. Yi Qingya's eyes brightened slightly, and then she said, Yi Ayo, if we're really going to talk about it, you're the matchmaker who brought Chen Yang and me together. When we get married, I will definitely make sure you are my bridesmaid. Upon hearing this, Su Menjiao's smile grew even brighter. He immediately agreed, no problem, I'm looking forward to it. By the way, let me tell you about the performance of Xiangxiang Pavilion in the past 2 weeks since it opened. To be honest, I underestimated the secret recipe for hot pot broth and dipping sauce that Chen Yang provided. From the opening day until now, a total of 20 days have passed. It can be said that every seat has been taken and the venue is packed every day. Because of the unique flavor of the hot pot broth and dipping sauce, and the freshness of the ingredients, Xiangxiang has gained an explosive reputation and attracted a large amount of traffic on various social media platforms and websites. Therefore, the store had no choice but to launch an online reservation service via a mini program. Members are given priority seating and private rooms. The highest daily turnover has exceeded 180,000, and the lowest is over 150,000. So our hot pot restaurant investment has become a huge success. In order to capitalize on this influx of customers and to better serve them by providing them with more dining options, I plan to open more hot pot restaurants. What do you think of this proposal? Su Menjiao looked excited, her eyes shining as she looked at Chen Yang and Yi Qingye. I think this is a great idea. After all, the hot pot soup base and dipping sauce recipes are the core of a hot pot restaurant and the foundation for its survival. As long as we can keep this secret recipe from being leaked and maintain our leading core competitiveness, other hot pot brands on the market simply cannot compete with us. With the reputation and word of mouth of Xiangxiang Pavilion, it will not be difficult for the second store to make a profit and gain brand awareness. Yi Ayo, if you want to open a branch, I'd give it my full support. Yi Qingye pondered for only a moment. She quickly came to an answer in her heart and directly expressed her attitude to Su Menjiao. The next second, Su Menjiao and Yi Qingye both looked at Chen Yang, waiting for his reply. After all, in their hearts, Chen Yang was the real investment expert. His thoughts and judgments are especially important to them. Seeing that Yi Qingye and Su Menjiao were staring intently at him, Chen Yang knew that he had to give an explanation. He hesitated for a moment before slowly saying, "Menjiao, I have a question for you. Answer me truthfully." Seeing this, Su Menjiao straightened her back and said with a serious expression, "Ask away. Do you intend to develop Xiangxiang as a nationwide chain hot pot restaurant brand? Or do you simply want to open a few branches and make some money? This is a very important question. You must think it through carefully before you answer me." Chen Yang remained calm, his gaze sweeping indifferently over Su Menjiao as he asked, "Why?" At this moment, Su Menjiao couldn't help but fall into deep thought. Her original plan was to enter the entertainment industry after graduating from the Shanghai Academy of Arts. She planned to leverage her family's connections to sign with a reputable entertainment agency. Then they can slowly find opportunities and resources to go on stage, showcase their abilities and talents, and gain fans to debut. But, through this entrepreneurial experience, she discovered that deep down, she actually quite enjoys the feeling of being in control and powerful in the business world. Even if she becomes a star, or even achieves her own expectations and becomes a top-tier celebrity. But in the eyes of capital and the powerful, he's nothing more than an actor. Sometimes we are not in control of our own lives. They will also face various unspoken rules and the covetousness of capital. But if she chooses to go into business, with her intelligence and the support of her family, becoming a female business owner would be no big problem at all. Even if things don't go well, her family has enough resources to cover for her. And most importantly, she has now latched onto Yi Qingye and Chen Yang's coattails. The popularity of Xiangxiang Pavilion is the best example. Once she missed this once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, Su Menjiao had a premonition that she would regret it immensely every time she thought about today, wondering why she didn't know how to make the right choice. After a while, Su Menjiao's eyes gradually hardened, and she quickly made her decision. She looked serious, her gaze intense as she met Chen Yang's eyes and said, "Chen Yang, if I choose to develop Xiangxiang into a nationwide chain hot pot brand, what suggestions do you have? Or to put it another way, would you be willing to cooperate with me to achieve this goal?" Chen Yang raised the corners of his mouth slightly, revealing a faint smile. It was as if he had already guessed which choice Su Menjiao would make. "Of course, I'm happy to help others." Upon hearing this, Su Menjiao's face immediately lit up with joy. The next moment he immediately asked, "Then tell me, what should I do next?" Chapter 246, Central Kitchen, Advanced Medical Skills. Clearly, Su Menjiao chose the former. Now that you've made up your mind, I'll just say a few words. First, define the core brand positioning. The core of Zhangxiang's explosive popularity lies in the hot pot broth and dipping sauces I've created. Second, build core capabilities for chain operation, namely product and supply chain standardization. Core product definition. The signature hot pot base recipe will be quantified to the gram level, and the selection parameters of ingredients will be clearly defined. The cut, thickness, and cold chain duration of freshly cut beef and mutton. Relying on the cattle and goat breeding bases in the 4 provinces of China, we will sign direct supply agreements with suppliers to create a fresh transportation system of direct supply from the place of origin central kitchen store, and strengthen the fresh and fragrant label of ingredients. Supply chain construction, adopting a central kitchen plus regional distribution model to ensure the freshness of ingredients and cost control. Cost optimization. By purchasing in bulk, we can reduce the cost of core ingredients and ensure the pricing of subsequent ingredients. Chen Yang's expression turned serious, and in the next second he transformed into a business tycoon, quickly forming a plan in his mind and providing a specific and feasible execution solution. His eloquent and authoritative manner greatly impressed Yi Qingye and Su Menjiao. Same age. However, Chen Yang's knowledge and abilities far surpass those of the two of them. The most outrageous thing is that they are clearly of higher status and have richer experience and perspectives. Compared to Chen Yang, the gap is enormous. The secret formula. To build a chain of stores and achieve absolute competitiveness, the core secret formula must not be leaked. Qingye, your husband is just too awesome. With that knowledge and business acumen, he's practically a master at developing solutions. No wonder he's so successful in the financial markets. Su Menjiao secretly tugged at Yi Qingye's arm and said with a look of envy, "My husband is indeed exceptionally talented in business, but I've never seen him so shrewd and outspoken before. But I must say, that aura is exactly like that of a domineering business tycoon." Yi Qingye chuckled softly and replied. At the very end, Chen Yang added, "However, I personally think that you don't need to take such big steps in the early stages. By simply opening one Zhangxiang hot pot branch in each district of Shanghai, we can first capture the high-end market in this city. Then, by establishing a brand advantage, we can expand to other first-tier cities. Then set up a company, hire professional management talent, and let them come up with feasible solutions according to my ideas, and we can easily expand the business." Su Menjiao clearly took it to heart. She immediately nodded. "I understand. I'll go back and discuss it with my dad. If I encounter any further problems, I will come back to ask you for advice. However, you two can't contribute a single penny to the branch. You must invest proportionally. I can't just throw real money into it, and you only provide the soup base and dipping sauce recipes. No matter how wealthy I am, I simply can't afford that." Chen Yang nodded decisively in response. "Don't worry, money is not a problem. As long as you are willing to take charge and follow my plan, I guarantee you will make a fortune." Seeing Chen Yang's confidence, Su Menjiao felt much more at ease. "It's getting late. If there's nothing else, we'll be going now." Chen Yang checked the time. He then greeted Su Menjiao and prepared to leave. Seeing this, Yi Qingye got up, took Chen Yang's arm and left with him side by side. Watching Chen Yang and Yi Qingye's retreating figures, Su Menjiao's eyes revealed endless envy. Her love life was not smooth. She had 2 boyfriends in college, but both relationships ended with the boyfriends cheating on her or being exposed for having multiple relationships at the same time. Sometimes she doubts whether she has a bad eye. Otherwise, how could she always end up dating scumbags? And in the end, they always cheat on her. In terms of looks, physique, and family background, to be honest, Su Menjiao is really not bad. Although she can't compare to Yi Qingye, she is a genuine rich and beautiful woman. She has many suitors and admirers, but every boyfriend she chooses seems to be a womanizer. He always cheated on her, flirting with other women everywhere. Has never met a man like Chen Yang, who is handsome, talented, has a very positive outlook on life, and never engages in ambiguous relationships outside of marriage. Once you encounter it, you can't possibly miss it. What is destined to be yours will be yours, and what is not you cannot force. Love is ordained by fate. It can only be said that Su Menjiao's destiny has not yet arrived. In the afternoon, at the OCT villa, as the fetus in Yi Qingye's womb continued to develop, her sleep time gradually increased. Seeing this, Chen Yang became even more worried about Yi Qingye and the child's health. "We still need to max out our medical skills as soon as possible. This will ensure the health of Qingye, the baby in her womb, and her family." Chen Yang thought to himself, At this stage, he is no longer short of money, and his fighting ability has also greatly improved. If there's one skill I absolutely need to improve, it's undoubtedly medicine. Thinking of this, Chen Yang couldn't stay idle, so he immediately went to his study to begin studying ancient medical books. With his photographic memory and the system's enhancement of his skill proficiency, he devoted himself wholeheartedly to learning. Host detected to be systematically learning various ancient Chinese medicine texts, treatise on febrile diseases, and acupuncture techniques. TCM skill proficiency plus 200. Host detected systematically learning various Huangdi Nijing and Qingnang Yijing. The human body has 360 acupoints. Traditional Chinese medicine skill proficiency plus 1000. It took nearly 3.5 hours. Chen Yang was diligent and devoted himself wholeheartedly to his studies. However, the results were also exceptionally remarkable. Congratulations, host. Your traditional Chinese medicine skills have been upgraded from beginner to advanced, and you have obtained the title of Veteran Traditional Chinese Medicine Practitioner. Advanced Traditional Chinese Medicine Practitioner, 010000. Just then, a virtual light screen suddenly appeared in front of Chen Yang's eyes, and a system notification sounded in his ears. The next moment, a vast amount of knowledge about traditional Chinese medicine surged into his mind, including acupuncture techniques, folk remedies for various intractable diseases, common and rare cases, and treatment methods. Ultimately, he absorbed and digested it, transforming it into his own skills. It was as if he had gained more than a decade of medical experience out of thin air, which greatly improved his medical skills and diagnostic abilities. Chen Yang was very satisfied with this. Chapter 247 Good news spreads throughout the family. Everyone is overjoyed. After a while, Chen Yang got up and left the study, going straight down to the lobby. At that moment, Yi Qingye was sitting on the sofa watching TV. Aunt Li was carefully wiping the tables and chairs with a rag. "Honey, are you done with your work?" Seeing Chen Yang come downstairs, Yi Qingye smiled and asked in a pleasant voice. "Yes, I spent the afternoon in the study reading medical books, and I've made some progress. Honey, since we're just killing time anyway, why don't I take your pulse?" As soon as Chen Yang finished speaking, Yi Qingye waved her hand and couldn't help but laugh. "Honey, stop fooling around." Chen Yang smiled without saying a word. Before Yi Qingye could react, he reached out and grabbed her arm, placing his fingers naturally on her pulse, behaving like an old Chinese medicine doctor. "Honey, I just had a checkup recently, and I'm perfectly healthy. And you don't mean to say that just by reading a few ancient Chinese medicine books and understanding the basic theories, you can acquire the medical skills of an old Chinese medicine doctor, do you? That's so fake. It's like they're completely humiliating those medical students." Yi Qingye said with a teasing smile. "As I've said before, I have a strong learning ability. Just because others can't do it doesn't mean I can't. After all, this concerns your health and the health of the baby in your belly, so I would never joke around like this. Judging from your pulse, you and your child are both very healthy. In addition, I have some good news to share with you." Chen Yang smiled, then suddenly became mysterious. This, as expected, piqued Yi Qingye's curiosity. "What is it?" Yi Qingye quickly asked. "You're carrying twins, a boy and a girl." Chen Yang smiled broadly and said to Yi Qingye, "What? Honey, how did you know?" Yi Qingye looked at Chen Yang with shock and disbelief and asked, "I just checked your pulse and figured it out myself. Don't worry, I'm absolutely certain that this will not be a misdiagnosis." Chen Yang chuckled and then explained, This is unbelievable." Yi Qingye still found it hard to believe. Not only me, but any experienced traditional Chinese medicine doctor could diagnose this from your pulse. The medical skills passed down from our ancestors are profound and extensive, especially in the areas of observation, auscultation, inquiry, and palpation for diagnosing illnesses. They are in no way inferior to Western medicine. The child is developing very well, which is probably also largely due to the good diet you've been eating recently and the adequate nutrition you've received. Chen Yang smiled slightly and said, "Honey, if I really am pregnant with twins, a boy and a girl, that would be so lucky. You know, there has never been a precedent for this in our family before." Yi Qingye grabbed Chen Yang's arm and said excitedly, "It seems like we don't have any here either. But it doesn't matter. Anyway, as long as the children are my own flesh and blood, I will love them well, give them the best environment to grow up in, and let them grow up happily." Chen Yang said with a smile. Yi Qingye took out her phone, eager to share the good news with her parents. Seeing this, Chen Yang did not stop him. He planned to tell his parents about it that evening to make them happy. The most urgent thing is to go to the kitchen and prepare a meal. After all, no one should let their wife and children go hungry. Mr. Chen, as you instructed, I went to the supermarket this afternoon and bought a grouper. Place it in the pool right now. Aunt Lee walked over and bowed to report to Chen Yang. Yes, thank you for your hard work, Aunt Lee. Chen Yang nodded. Then he strode towards the kitchen. I glanced at the grouper and saw it was still lively and jumping around, with other ingredients on the kitchen counter. Chen Yang put on his apron and immediately got to work. Scrape the scales off the fish, gut it, and clean its internal organs. Then make decorative cuts to spread the fish meat evenly on a plate. Add scallions and ginger, drizzle with soybean oil, and steam in a steamer. Host detected cooking. Knife skills proficiency plus 500. Culinary skills proficiency plus 500. Advanced knife skills, 80-500-10000. Advanced culinary skills, 80-500-10000. An hour and a half later, the simple 4 dishes and 1 soup were prepared and served on the table. All the dishes were made according to Yi Qingya's preferred tastes. Yi Qingya's eyes lit up when she saw the table full of delicious food. Honey, everything you made tonight is my favorite dish. You're so good to me, I love you to death. The next second, Yi Qingya then threw herself into Chen Yang's arms and kissed his cheek as a reward. Eat more if it's delicious, and take good care of your body. Later, I will make you some more nourishing soup to help you recover. I guarantee that you will recover as quickly as possible after giving birth, and that there will be no after effects. Chen Yang smiled and said with a doting expression, Okay, I'll do whatever you say. Yi Qingya now has a kind of blind confidence in Chen Yang. After everyone was seated, they began to enjoy a delicious meal. Yi Qingya was in a very good mood, which caused her to accidentally overeat. Following the principle of not wasting food, Aunt Lee ate until she couldn't eat anymore. Chen Yang spent the entire afternoon reading medical books, which was extremely mentally taxing. As a result, his appetite increased significantly. The table was laden with food, but the 3 of them devoured it all, leaving not a single dish. After the meal, Aunt Lee was in charge of tidying up and cleaning. Chen Yang and Yi Qingya sat on the sofa to digest their food. Just then, Yi Qingya's phone suddenly rang. She picked it up and saw that it was a call from her mother. Zioya, is the message you sent to your mother true? Are you really carrying twins, a boy and a girl? The call was connected. Immediately, I heard my mother's incredibly excited voice asking me something. Mom, it's true. Chen Yang told me himself, there's no mistake. Yi Qingya's smile remained unchanged as she replied to her mother. Okay. This is a very happy occasion. Listen, from now until delivery, you must take good care of your health so that nothing goes wrong. Is Zioyang next to you? Give him the phone, I have something to say to him. Wenjai's voice was filled with joy. After exchanging only a few words, he had Yi Qingya hand the phone to Chen Yang. In her mind, Chen Yang was far more mature and composed than her own daughter. She was worried about such a crucial matter, so of course she had to give Chen Yang a few more instructions. Honey, my mom called. She specifically asked for you. Yi Qingya felt that her mother disliked her, but she had no evidence. She couldn't help but roll her eyes, then handed the phone to Chen Yang, not forgetting to remind him. Upon hearing this, Chen Yang took the phone and greeted her softly. Aunt Wen. Zioya just messaged me saying she's pregnant with twins, a boy and a girl. Is this really true? Wenjai was afraid that this was a false alarm, so she asked Chen Yang again to confirm. Aunt Wen, it's true. I personally examined Zioya's pulse, and she is indeed carrying twins, a boy and a girl. Chen Yang smiled slightly and replied softly. You diagnosed it. What do you mean? Didn't you go to the hospital for a checkup? Wenjai was a little confused and asked, not understanding why. Aunt Wen, I know a little about traditional Chinese medicine, and I'm very confident in taking pulses. So I can assure you it's absolutely right. Of course, if you don't believe me, you can take Qingya to the hospital for an ultrasound another day. Or you can find a famous traditional Chinese medicine doctor to diagnose her. Chen Yang explained calmly. Chapter 248. She's carrying twins, a boy and a girl. Okay, Auntie believes you. Zioya is currently pregnant with twins, so we need to pay special attention to her daily life and eating habits. You need to pay more attention to this matter. After all, the child in her belly is of your Chen family bloodline, your own flesh and blood. Wenjai spoke earnestly to Chen Yang, offering him advice. Aunt Wen, don't worry. I've already hired 2 nannies to take care of Kingya's daily life. Later, I'll also specially prepare nutritious meals for her to ensure she gets a balanced diet and can focus on her pregnancy until she gives birth smoothly. Chen Yang replied with a serious expression. Wen Jai said kindly, "Okay, her dad and I are off this weekend, so you can bring Zaya to our house." Chen Yang readily agreed, "No problem." After that, Chen Yang handed the phone back to Yikinya. He went to the backyard garden, took out his phone, and dialed his father Chen Shan's number. The phone rang for a few seconds before being answered. "Son, is that you?" Chen Shan's voice came from over there very soon. "Dad, it's me. Has the family eaten yet?" Chen Yang smiled slightly and asked with concern. "I've eaten. Dinner was very plentiful. Your mother cooked a lot of dishes. But to be honest, it still can't compare to the food you cook." Chen Shan chuckled and said, "Dad, if Mom hears you say that, she won't let you off easily." Chen Yang quipped, "What are you afraid of? I'm just telling the truth. As for you, have you been busy lately? Kingya is pregnant, so you should make time to take care of her and not neglect her, lest she start overthinking." Chen Shan spoke earnestly. "Dad, you don't need to worry about work. I'll handle it. I'm calling you so late because I have some good news to tell the family. Kingya is pregnant with twins, a boy and a girl." Chen Yang smiled. After a moment, he took the initiative to speak. "What twins, a boy and a girl? Is this for real? You're not kidding." Upon hearing this news, Chen Shan's expression immediately turned one of shock. For a long while, he couldn't react. After all, the Chen family had never had a precedent of having twins. This was an incredibly joyous occasion for Chen Shan. "It's true, I guarantee it. Besides, do you think I need to joke about something like this with you? What would I gain from it?" Chen Yang smiled helplessly. "Great, that's wonderful. May our ancestors bless us. Our Chen family will soon welcome a pair of dragons and phoenixes. This is definitely the biggest happy event for the Chen family this year. I'll call your grandparents and your uncles' families later." Chen Shan was so excited he almost jumped out of his seat and said excitedly, "Yes, that's all, nothing else." Chen Yang chatted for a few minutes and then hung up the phone. At the same time, Chenjia Village, Linjiang County, Nanyang City, thousands of miles away. Chen Shan rushed into the kitchen immediately to share his joy with his wife, Wu Yan, who was washing the dishes. "Wife, it's wonderful news, incredibly wonderful news. My son just called and said that Kingya is pregnant with twins, a boy and a girl. Our Chen family will soon welcome 2 little babies." Upon hearing this news, Wu Yan's eyes widened, her face filled with surprise. "Twins, my son really said that?" "Of course, he just said it himself. I have to tell the old man and the old woman this good news, as well as my eldest brother and 3rd brother, so that the whole Chen family can be happy." After Chen Shan finished speaking, he immediately made a phone call to share the good news. For a time, the entire Chen family was immersed in joy. On the other side, the Yi family, Yi Zhenghua was busy until very late before returning home. "Madam, I'm back." When Yi Zhenghua arrived in the hall, he saw his wife, Wen Jai, sitting on the sofa. "Old Yi, you're back just in time. Come sit here, I have some good news to tell you about my daughter," Wen Jai said with a joyful expression. "Oh, what happened?" Yi Zhenghua looked on with curiosity. Before long, he sat down next to his wife, Wen Jai, and asked, "Zioya is carrying twins, a boy and a girl. I've already confirmed this with Zioying, so it shouldn't be wrong." Wen Jai smiled and said, "Twins, 2 babies in 1 birth." Yi Zhenghua's eyes widened, clearly surprised and delighted. "That's right. There has never been a precedent for twins, a boy and a girl in your Yi family. I have to say, Zioya and Zioying really gave us a big surprise. The old man often said that a life with both a son and a daughter is a truly fulfilling one. That's great, Zioya got pregnant right away, saving her the hardship of 10 months of pregnancy." Wen Jai smiled broadly. "It seems our daughter is truly a blessed person. We need to tell the old man about this sometime, so he can be happy," Yi Zhenghua said with a look of satisfaction. "That's what I think too. I have already told Zioying to take good care of Zioya. And this weekend, I'll have them both come over to our house so we can all sit down and have a good talk as a family," Wen Jai said with a smile. "No problem, I'll do whatever you say." Yi Zhenghua had no objection to this and readily agreed. That night, both the Yi family and the Chen family were immersed in joy. In order to improve Yi Qingya's sleep quality, Chen Yang specially gave her a full body massage before she went to sleep. Yi Qingya felt completely refreshed and indescribably comfortable. "Honey, you're amazing. Meeting you is the greatest luck of my life. Yi Qingye offered a kiss, looking at Chen Yang with deep affection in her eyes, and said, Wife, you are also my benefactor. Without you, my career could not have been so successful. Our connection is preordained by heaven, therefore we must cherish it all the more. Chen Yang reached out and stroked Yi Qingye's angelic face, his eyes filled with doting affection. I really hope the baby is born soon, and then I will definitely make it up to you. A blush instantly appeared on Yi Qingye's pretty face. The words were loaded with meaning. Chapter 249, Ray entering the U.S. stock market. Amazing profits. Upon hearing this, Chen Yang couldn't suppress the smile on his face. Okay, I look forward to that day coming soon. But before that, you have to be a good boy and take good care of your health and make sure you get enough sleep. Yi Qingye nodded. Okay, then I'll go to sleep now. Good night, honey. Knowing that Chen Yang might have things to do that evening, Yi Qingye didn't press the matter further. I simply said good night to him, and then lay down in bed to go to sleep. Good night, honey. After saying that, Chen Yang leaned down and gently kissed Yi Qingye's forehead. Then turn off the lights and leave the master bedroom. It's 11 p.m. Inside the study, Chen Yang sat at his desk, opened his laptop, logged into the U.S. stock trading software, and began to check the dynamics of the U.S. stock market. It has been a while since he last traded U.S. stocks, but every time I think about it, my heart races. After all, the risks and benefits of speculating in U.S. stocks are far greater than those in the domestic A-shares and Hong Kong stocks. But for Chen Yang, who is known as the god of investment, this risk is negligible. Of course, if the amount of money involved is too large, it will inevitably attract the attention of officials. Previously, Chen Yang was worried about this, which is why he dared not show off his investment talent, for fear of causing unnecessary trouble. But times have changed. A month ago, Chen Yang was just an ordinary student from an ordinary family, but with outstanding talent and ability, a senior majoring in finance. Now he is not only the son-in-law of Yi Zhenghua, the top official in Shanghai, but also a partner of Qin Group, Weihai Group, and Tianyuan Group. With these identities and powerful backers, Chen Yang was no longer an ant that could be manipulated at will. Those who want to take advantage of him should think twice about the consequences. Host detected investing in U.S. stocks. The title of God of Investment is being activated. God-level analytical and judgment abilities are manifesting. TM Boya Technology, stock price rose plus 8%, fell 5%. Amazon stock price rose 6% and fell 2%. Hengtong Energy's stock price rose by 7% and fell by 3%. The next second, a virtual light screen appeared in front of Chen Yang, which contained detailed records of U.S. stocks with investment value, including their rise and fall and data analysis charts. This allowed Chen Yang to make investments from a completely omniscient perspective. Now, Chen Yang checked his U.S. stock account and found that he only had $250 million. However, it's enough for investment. He then began to operate it. Buy low and sell high, then short sell. After a 4-hour struggle, Chen Yang finally finished the transaction. At this moment, it was past 3 in the morning. Chen Yang checked the account transaction details and found that the investment profit exceeded 150%, with a total profit of $375 million. Converted to RMB, that's 2.625 billion. And this was Chen Yang's performance in just one night. This is absolutely outrageous. Chen Yang dragged his slightly tired body back to the master bedroom to rest. I fell into a deep sleep within 2 minutes of lying down. The following morning, Chen Yang slept straight until 9:30. When he woke up, he found that Yi Qingye was nowhere to be seen. She got out of bed and went into the bathroom to wash up. Then I changed into more business-style clothes and headed down to the lobby. Honey, you're finally awake. I made breakfast for you myself, come and eat. When Yi Qingye saw Chen Yang come downstairs, she immediately got up from the sofa and said to him with a smile, Honey, you've worked so hard. Chen Yang smiled slightly and went to the restaurant. He saw a sandwich, a fried egg, a piece of fried ham, and a bowl of oatmeal porridge on the table. Seeing this, he sat down in the chair and began to eat heartily. Yi Qingye sat next to Chen Yang, staring intently at him. After a long pause, he took the initiative to start a conversation and asked, Honey, did you stay up very late last night? Chen Yang smiled and nodded, replying, Yes, U.S. stock trading continued until after 3 a.m. After finishing, I was extremely tired and fell asleep almost as soon as my head hit the pillow. I've been sleeping ever since. Upon hearing this, A hint of heartache flashed in Yi Qingya's eyes. Honey, you don't need to push yourself so hard. I know you've always wanted to make something of yourself, but building a career is a long-term process. There's no need to rush it. Otherwise, before your career even takes off, you'll ruin your health first. Chen Yang felt a warmth in his heart and then said, Don't worry, I just stayed up all night and I'll recover after getting some sleep. Besides, I'm so young, it's the perfect time for me to build my career. It's perfectly understandable for me to be ambitious and hardworking. If I indulge in pleasure at a young age and do not strive for progress, wouldn't I be wasting the great talent that God has given me? Hearing this, Yi Qingya felt that it made a lot of sense. She knew very well that, although her grandparents and parents seemed to have accepted Chen Yang, they all had high hopes for him. They believed that Chen Yang would achieve great things and prove that he was qualified to be the Yi family's son-in-law. For this reason, Chen Yang always carried an invisible pressure on his shoulders, forcing him to work hard and not dare to slack off in the slightest. But Yi Qingya didn't care about any of that. She simply hoped that Chen Yang could always stay by her side. Since ancient times, wealthy families have produced many romantics. Because these kinds of people are usually not worried about material life, they care more about their spiritual pursuits, yearning for freedom and longing for love. To put it bluntly, it's just pure romantic blindness. But Chen Yang is clearly not like that. He has a clear career plan and development goals. Even if he wasn't the son-in-law of the Yi family, he would still work hard to carve out a path to success for himself and his family. In fact, power and wealth are what men pursue throughout their lives. Good love will happen just as a man is on his path to success. Any sign of being dragged down will drain a man's energy, leading to problems in his career. Just then, Chen Yang's phone suddenly rang. He picked it up and saw the words, Second Uncle Yi Zhanchen, displayed on the screen. Yi Qingya also witnessed this scene. This made her very curious. When did my second uncle and Chen Yang become so close? Chapter 252, Uncle Calls. The king of retired soldiers from the military region. Second uncle. Chen Yang answered the call and put it on speakerphone. Chen Yang, your second uncle has already taken care of the matter you asked him to do before. They all arrived in Shanghai last night. They are all elite soldiers retired from the Southeast military region. The leader is named Yang Li, the former captain of the Sharp Blade Special Assault Team. His overall strength ranks among the top 3 in the military region. If it weren't for the accidental injury he sustained during a mission, the fact that his body wasn't suitable for high-intensity training after recovery, and the family crisis that forced him to retire, I really wouldn't want to let go of such a talented person. You are the son-in-law of the Yi family. Whether you like it or not, you have already been drawn into the power struggle. Therefore, your safety has become extremely important. It took me a lot of effort to get these retired veterans over to you. You mustn't mistreat them in terms of benefits and treatment. I'll send you Yang Li's phone number in a bit. You can contact him directly. If you have any questions, feel free to call your second uncle. Soon, Yi Zhanchen's deep voice came from the other end of the phone. Second uncle, I'm sorry to have troubled you. I will definitely repay this kindness in the future when I have the chance. Chen Yang's words were filled with gratitude towards his second uncle, Yi Zhanchen. All right, we're all family, why say such things? If you and Xia Oil live a good life together and have a big, healthy baby boy by the end of the year, that's better than anything else. Yi Zhanchen smiled and said, Second uncle, I forgot to tell you, Qingya is pregnant with twins, a boy and a girl. Upon hearing this, Chen Yang immediately replied, Really, that's so lucky. The Chen family has both a son and a daughter with just one child, which is unprecedented in the past. Yi Zhanchen said with a look of surprise. Yes, that's right. Chen Yang chatted with Yi Zhanchen for a while before hanging up the phone. Yi Qingya immediately met Chen Yang's gaze and asked curiously, Honey, what were you and uncle talking about? Why couldn't I understand? I asked my second uncle to recommend a group of retired soldiers to serve as our bodyguards in our daily lives, and when we travel. My second uncle called me and said that they had arrived in Shanghai and asked me to contact them as soon as possible and provide them with the best possible benefits. Chen Yang smiled and explained truthfully. I see. Upon hearing this, Yi Qingya suddenly realized what was going on. Ding dong. A moment later, Chen Yang received a text message from his second uncle, Yi Zhanchen, containing Yang Li's name and a phone number. Upon seeing this, Chen Yang dialed the number directly. The phone rang for a few seconds before being answered immediately. Hello, is this Captain Yang Li? I'm Chen Yang. My second uncle asked me to contact you. Mr. Chen, hello, I am Yang Li. I have led my team to their positions, and am ready to serve you at any time. Excuse me, are you free now? I think it's necessary for us to discuss this in person. Yang Li's words were forceful and controlled the rhythm. I'm at home, I'll send you an address now. You can bring your people over directly. Chen Yang smiled and said, No problem, Mr. Chen, see you in a bit. Yang Li replied readily. After hanging up the phone, Chen Yang sent Yang Li the address of the OCT villa. At the same time, they informed the villa property management to bring Yang Li and the others to the villa after they arrived. The property management company readily agreed. An hour later, the property manager personally led Yang Li and his group to stand outside the villa. Mr. Chen, these people say they're here to see you. I don't know if they are the people you are waiting for. The property manager spoke to Chen Yang with a respectful expression. Yes, that's good. Thank you for making the special trip. Chen Yang looked at the 8 men in front of him who stood straight as javelins, exuding a heroic and dashing aura, and who looked exactly like soldiers. He smiled and nodded. Not at all. It is my honor to serve Mr. Chen. The words were spoken. The property manager wisely withdrew. The man at the head of the group, with dark skin and a resolute face, was Yang Li, the former captain of the Sharp Sword Special Assault Team, who had just spoken to Chen Yang on the phone. Yang Li stepped forward, his eyes fixed on Chen Yang. President Chen, I am Yang Li. I have come to report to you with my brothers on the orders of the commander. Captain Yang, brothers, you've all had a long and tiring journey. Come on, let's go inside, sit down, have a glass of water, and then we can talk slowly. Chen Yang smiled slightly and addressed Yang Li and his brothers behind him. I will follow General Manager Chen's instructions. Yang Li did not refuse and readily agreed. Before coming, Yi Zhanshan had revealed that Chen Yang was the Yi family's son-in-law. Their main task was to protect the safety of Chen Yang and Yi Qingye. As for benefits and treatment, I believe Chen Yang will certainly not treat them unfairly. Therefore, Yang Li treated Chen Yang with exceptional respect. After all, just because of Yi Zhanshan's relationship with him, Yang Li had to be respectful. Not to mention that Chen Yang is now the son-in-law of the Yi family, a man of noble status. They were not people that Yang Li and his group could afford to offend. Soon, led by Chen Yang, the group arrived at the villa's lobby. Yang Li and his brothers then discovered that there was a goddess of unparalleled beauty inside the villa. Before they arrived, they had already looked at Yi Qingye's information and naturally knew that she was Chen Yang's fiancée. She is also Chief Yi's niece, and a princess of the Yi family, a top-tier powerful family in Kyoto. Everyone immediately averted their gaze, not daring to look around for fear of displeasing the other party. Captain Yang, brothers, please make yourselves at home. Aunt Li served tea to the guests. Chen Yang greeted him with a smile. Thank you very much, Mr. Chen. Seeing Chen Yang's gentle attitude, Yang Li felt a surge of goodwill towards him. Captain Yang, you and your brothers have come from afar, so I should host a welcome banquet for you to celebrate your arrival. However, I still think we should get the important business done first. The welcome banquet can be postponed for now. There's no need to rush it. What do you think? Chen Yang chuckled softly and spoke slowly. Mr. Chen is right. Yang Li nodded in agreement. Well, if that's the case, let's get straight to the point. I asked my second uncle to recommend a group of retired soldiers to be bodyguards. They were required to be highly capable and able to handle any emergencies at any time. My second uncle trusts you, which is why he called you here. I believe in my second uncle's judgment, so I have no doubt about your abilities. Next, let's talk about compensation. Currently, security companies with a good reputation and excellent service offer security personnel with an average annual salary ranging from 300,000 to 800,000 yuan. Given that you are all elite veterans retired from the military region, I am willing to offer you a top salary of 1 million. Holidays, year-end bonuses, 6 types of insurance and 2 types of funds, and all kinds of protection and benefits will be arranged so that you will have absolutely no worries. Chen Yang didn't beat around the bush. He immediately got straight to the point and addressed Yang Li and the others. These words were spoken. Yang Li and his brothers were stunned, their faces filled with shock. Although they were prepared in their hearts before they came, Chen Yang would offer them a good annual salary. But to their utter surprise, Chen Yang offered them $1 million annual salary. This income is unparalleled, even within the entire security industry. After a while, Yang Li was the first to come to his senses. He met Chen Yang's gaze directly his tone carrying a hint of respect. Mr. Chen, thank you very much for your kindness to our brothers. But isn't $1 million annual salary a bit too high? Chen Yang shook his head and replied calmly, not high at all. Top professional bodyguards abroad all start with $1 million annual salary, and some even receive a top salary of tens of millions. Chapter 251, Sharp Sword Special Assault Team, Captain Yang Li. My second uncle told me that Captain Yang used to serve in the Sharp Sword Special Assault Team, which ranked among the top 3 in the military region in terms of overall strength. His strength is beyond doubt. And the brothers around you are all elite soldiers who retired from various units of the military region. Your abilities fully deserve this treatment. In addition, I hope that Captain Yang can serve as the bodyguard captain, responsible for arranging and coordinating personnel rotation issues. Correspondingly, your annual salary will be slightly higher than that of the team members, reaching 1.5 million per year. Hiss. As soon as Chen Yang finished speaking, Yang Li and his teammates gasped in shock. They never dreamed that Chen Yang would be so generous. Starting with $1 million annual salary, that's an incredibly generous offer. Mr. Chen, are you serious, or are you joking with us? Yang Li swallowed hard. Immediately, he asked Chen Yang again to confirm. Certainly, such a high annual salary isn't easy to obtain, because I'm not sure what kind of enemy I'll be facing, and the only thing I can do is to strengthen my own security as much as possible. That's why I asked my second uncle for help, and asked him to recommend a retired Special Forces soldier from the military region as my bodyguard. Chen Yang's words made his meaning quite clear. The salary he offered was indeed high, but it also meant that they would take on greater risks. Therefore, I will not force you to make a decision. Those who are willing to stay, I will offer you the best possible treatment, as I just mentioned. For those who are unwilling, I will give you a big red envelope. Consider it a reward for your hard work in coming all this way. These words were spoken. Yang Li and the others exchanged glances. As if in unspoken agreement, everyone nodded. Mr. Chen will take this job. With such excellent compensation, we'll certainly use our professional skills to ensure your safety and handle any emergencies. I hope we can have a pleasant collaboration in the future. Yang Li met Chen Yang's gaze and said with a serious expression. At the same time, he solemnly extended his hand to Chen Yang. Chen Yang's lips curled up slightly, as if he had expected this. He reached out and grasped Yang Li's hand, replying softly, "It's a pleasure doing business with you. Honey, remember to bring bodyguards when you go out in the future. With them around, we can avoid a lot of unnecessary trouble, and I'll feel much more at ease." Chen Yang tilted his head to look at Yiqingya and said, "Okay, I understand." Yiqingya nodded obediently. She could certainly understand Chen Yang's worries and concerns. Therefore, they naturally wouldn't object. "Captain Yang, there's 10 million in this card. Take the brothers to buy a few cars and get some new clothes while you're at it. I'll reimburse you for everything." The words were spoken. Chen Yang took out a bank card that he had prepared in advance from his wallet. Then it was handed to Yang Li. "Yes, Mr. Chen." Yang Li took the bank card, nodded, and readily agreed. It was almost noon. 4 brand new high-end business vehicles were neatly parked in front of the villa. The car door opened, and Yang Li and his brothers, all dressed in matching black outfits, stepped out of the car. Next, we entered the villa's lobby. "Mr. Chen, the car and clothes have all been changed as you instructed. Do you have any further instructions?" Yang Li walked up to Chen Yang and greeted him respectfully. Immediately, he handed the bank card back to Chen Yang with both hands. "Let's go. I've booked a table to welcome all my brothers back." Chen Yang took the bank card and casually stuffed it into his pocket. Then he took Yiqingya's hand and walked towards the villa gate. Jun Hotel is a renowned 5-star hotel in Shanghai. The customers who come here are all either rich or noble. At the hotel entrance at this time, a convoy of luxury cars slowly came to a stop. The car door opened. A handsome young man with a refined and dashing appearance stepped out of the car. The next second, he appeared in everyone's sight, leading a stunningly beautiful goddess who was wearing a white dress, with a graceful and tall figure, and a face that could launch 1,000 ships. Not long after, several men dressed in black stood around the young man and the beautiful woman, protecting them while providing them with a certain amount of space. Such a display naturally attracted the attention of the hotel staff and the diners. Whose young master and young lady are these? Not only are they good-looking, but even their bodyguards have such a powerful aura. He looks unfamiliar. I've never seen him before. Putting everything else aside, that woman is just too beautiful. One glance is enough to make you unable to look away and fall for her. They travel with a dedicated motorcade and bodyguards. Why have I never seen them before? Could they all be outsiders? The crowd looked at Chen Yang, Yi Qingye, and Yang Li's group of bodyguards, whispering among themselves. Chen Yang didn't care at all about this. The group entered the hotel and went to the lobby. Upon seeing this, the hotel lobby manager immediately rushed over and greeted them warmly. Distinguished guests, welcome to Jun Hotel. I am Wang Tian, the hotel's lobby manager. Did you make an appointment in advance? Chen Yang nodded and then said, Yes, my surname is Chen, and the last 4 digits of my phone number are 6217. Upon hearing this, Wang Tian immediately began to investigate. After confirming that Chen Yang had booked a private room in advance, he leaned forward slightly and said with even greater respect, Mr. Chen, you have reserved a VIP room at the hotel. This way, please. After saying that, he stepped aside and gestured for them to proceed, leading the way. Seeing this, Chen Yang and Yi Qingye stepped forward to follow, while Yang Li and a group of bodyguards followed closely behind. Before long, the group arrived at the door of the private room. He pushed open the door and strode inside. Captain Yang and all of you brothers, please don't be so formal. Sit wherever you like. Manager Wang, bring up your hotel menu so they can order. Chen Yang waved to the crowd, indicating that they didn't need to sit so tensely and could relax a little. Then his gaze swept over manager Wang Tian, and he gave instructions. Yes, Mr. Chen. Yang Li and the others responded with smiles. No problem, Mr. Chen. The words were spoken. Manager Wang Tian then winked at the waiters behind him. Soon, they distributed the menus to everyone. Chapter 252, Top-Tier Treatment. Winning Hearts and Minds. Captain Yang, brothers, order whatever you want to eat, don't be shy. Today's meal is a welcome feast specially prepared for you. From now on, my wife and I will need to rely on you a lot for our security work. Chen Yang looked at Yang Li and the bodyguards. He smiled faintly and spoke calmly. Don't worry, Mr. Chen. We take people's money and do their bidding. We all have professional ethics. Furthermore, we were all soldiers under Commander Yi, and we all received his kindness to some extent. Although we have all retired from the military, we will still strictly carry out the orders of our leaders. Not to mention, you value your brothers so much that you've offered us such good salaries and benefits. So, no matter what, we will ensure your and Miss Yi's safety. A smile flashed across Yang Li's face as he spoke to Chen Yang. Haha, then I'll have to trouble Captain Yang and the brothers to put in the effort. Chen Yang smiled with satisfaction. Jun Hotel truly lives up to its 5-star rating. Flipping through the exquisite menu, every dish was outrageously expensive. Even ordinary green vegetables often start at 3 figures. Those expensive seafood items can cost tens of thousands of yuan. Seeing the price, Yang Li and his brothers hesitated, unable to make the purchase for a long time. Given their status, they wouldn't have dared to patronize such places in the past. Chen Yang immediately noticed the predicament of Yang Li and the others. So he immediately smiled and said, Captain Yang, brothers, just order the food, don't worry about the price. Since I can afford to pay you all millions in salaries, I naturally have enough money. A simple meal is just a drop in the ocean for me. These words were spoken. Yang Li and his brothers then realized what was going on. Indeed, their mindset is still stuck in the past. They've forgotten that Chen Yang lives in a top-tier villa in Shanghai, is chauffeured around in luxury cars worth millions, and even receives $1 million annual salary. This undoubtedly proves that Chen Yang has strong economic strength and a wealthy family background. Otherwise, the welcome banquet wouldn't have been held at this 5-star hotel. This not only demonstrates Chen Yang's high regard for Yang Li and his brothers, but also shows that his daily spending level is not low. After figuring this out, Yang Li and his brothers felt their inner pressure immediately dissipate. However, they didn't treat Chen Yang like a fat sheep to be slaughtered, and they only ordered the most expensive dishes. In the end, the 10 people ordered a total of 16 dishes, a balanced mix of meat and vegetables, including seafood and various poultry. As the dishes were served one by one, they were placed in front of everyone. It has a perfect combination of color, aroma, and taste, making it very tempting. Captain Yang, I don't usually drink alcohol, so I'll offer you all a toast with tea instead. Chen Yang picked up his teacup and gestured to Yang Dui and his brothers. Mr. Chen, you're too kind. You can offer me and my brothers such a high-paying job. On behalf of my brothers, I express my sincerest gratitude to you. Yang Li truly lives up to his reputation, as a former leader. His emotional intelligence and eloquence were clearly high, which made Chen Yang feel very comfortable. "Let's all raise our glasses and cheers." Chen Yang smiled faintly and said, "Respectfully, General Manager Chen." Yang Li looked at his brothers and shouted, "Come on, everyone, let's start eating." With Chen Yang speaking, Yang Li and his brothers didn't stand on ceremony and got to work. Chen Yang picked up a few large shrimp, peeled them, and placed them directly into Yi Qingya's dish. "Honey, eat more of this to get some nutrition." "Thank you, honey." Seeing how considerate Chen Yang was, Yi Qingya felt a surge of warmth in her heart. On the side, although Yang Li was eating, he kept glancing at Chen Yang and Yi Qingya out of the corner of his eye, seeing how deeply in love the two of them were, as if they were inseparable. Only then did he understand why the leader had spoken to him privately before leaving and instructed him to ensure Chen Yang's safety. Because Chen Yang now represents not only himself, but also the Yi family's son-in-law. To mess with Chen Yang is no different from provoking the Yi family. At first, Yang Li was still complaining in his heart, thinking that Chen Yang was a pretty boy who only got close to the Yi family princess and latched onto the Yi family's powerful backing because of his good looks. However, before leaving, the leader revealed some things that greatly changed Yang Li's impression of Chen Yang. It's even a feeling of genuine admiration. It was for this reason that Yang Li agreed to the commander's request and took on the task of protecting Chen Yang. Yang Li never expected Chen Yang to be so generous. Give him and his brothers the highest possible treatment. A scholar will die for one who understands him. Chen Yang's attitude and his trust. This made Yang Li secretly determined to do his job well in the future and never let down the trust of his superiors and Chen Yang. A simple meal. Chen Yang left an excellent impression on Yang Li and his brothers, completely winning their hearts and minds. Chen Yang felt it was well worth it. Although he has now learned several martial arts and military combat techniques, his combat strength is much stronger than that of ordinary people. It is more than enough for self-defense. But as the old saying goes, 2 fists can't beat 4 hands, and a flurry of punches can even defeat a master. Who can guarantee that someone won't hire a powerful assassin or an enemy to target him? To prevent this from happening, security personnel are naturally indispensable. After all, professional matters should naturally be handled by professionals. After all, Yang Li and his brothers were all elite soldiers retired from the military region, and their physical fitness and combat capabilities were far superior to those of ordinary bodyguards. With their protection, Chen Yang's safety has improved by at least 1 level. Furthermore, it can also help him avoid a lot of unnecessary trouble. The dinner was drawing to a close. Chen Yang called the waiter over, paid the bill, and left. Afterwards, the group got into the car and drove to the sales center of Hongfa Real Estate Group. More than half an hour later, the luxury convoy arrived at its destination. The car door opened, and Chen Yang took Yi Qingya's hand and walked side by side toward the sales hall. Yang Li and his brothers followed closely behind. This display quickly attracted the attention of staff and homebuyers. Especially, Chen Yang and Yi Qingya are both handsome and beautiful, with outstanding temperaments. One look at them, and you know they must be rich or noble. All eyes turned to Chen Yang and Yi Qingya, but no one dared to step forward. It wasn't until Zhou He, the sales manager, noticed the commotion that he quickly ran over. "Sir, madam, I am Zhou He, the sales manager. May I ask your honorable surnames, esteemed guests?" Zhou He bowed slightly, his attitude exceptionally respectful, and asked Chen Yang and Yi Qingya. "My surname is Chen, and she is my fiancée, surname Yi." Chen Yang spoke calmly to Zhou He. Upon hearing this, Zhou He immediately put on a professional smile and asked softly, "Mr. Chen, Ms. Yi, are you both planning to buy a house? Do you have a preferred apartment layout and location?" Chapter 253. Sales manager Lin Qiu reappears, wanting to buy a villa worth 185 million. "Manager Zhou, I recently purchased a luxury villa in OCT from your group company. I came here this time to buy another one." Chen Yang smiled faintly and said to Zhou He, "Mr. Chen, thank you for recognizing our Hongfa Real Estate Group. Don't worry, since you are a regular customer, I will definitely explain the situation to my supervisor and try my best to get you the best possible discount." Upon hearing this, Zhou He looked at Chen Yang with deep respect. "You need to know, the villas in OCT, overseas Chinese town, are ridiculously expensive. Ordinary people simply can't afford them. To become a resident there, one's net worth must start at least in the billions. And this Mr. Chen actually wanted to buy another set. With this kind of financial strength, he is definitely much stronger than some listed company bosses. At least in terms of cash flow, it has demonstrated unparalleled strength. Yes, I want a ready-built house, so I can move in immediately after buying it. Chen Yang added, "No problem. I'll have the sales manager come over right now to serve you throughout the process." He replied respectfully. After saying that, he immediately took out a walkie-talkie from his waist. "Manager Lin, there are VIP guests in the lobby who want to buy a house. Could you please come over now?" The next moment, a crisp voice came through the walkie-talkie. "Received, I'll be right there. Mr. Chen, Ms. Yi, please sit on the sofa over there and have a rest and a cup of tea. Our sales manager, Mr. Lin, will be here soon." He bowed slightly and led Chen Yang and Yi Qingye to sit down on the sofa. Then he immediately had his staff bring him tea. About 2 or 3 minutes later, sales manager Lin Qiu rushed over. "Manager Zhou, where is the VIP?" Lin Qiu was dressed in a women's office lady business suit, paired with black stockings and high heels, which perfectly showcased her tall and graceful figure. "Manager Lin, we meet again." Upon seeing that the person who came was Lin Qiu, whom he had dealt with before, Chen Yang immediately smiled and took the initiative to greet him. "Mr. Chen, Ms. Yi, what are you doing here? Could it be that the client's manager Zhou mentioned wanting to buy a house, or the two of you?" Lin Qiu was quite surprised to see Chen Yang and Yi Qingye. She had dealt with many clients, but this was the most decisive one. Moreover, the man took the initiative to add the woman's name to the deed while the two were still in a romantic relationship. Chen Yang is absolutely the only one. In addition, Chen Yang and Yi Qingye were handsome and beautiful, young and rich, and Lin Qiu had a very deep impression of them. "That's right, it's us. You've come at the right time. I'd like to buy another apartment in the OCT, Overseas Chinese Town, community. Requirements: move in ready, preferably near the villa I bought before." Chen Yang nodded slightly. Without any pleasantries, he went straight to the point and made his demands of Lin Qiu. "Mr. Chen, what is your budget?" A look of joy appeared on Lin Qiu's face. She knew that Chen Yang was incredibly wealthy and had considerable purchasing power. If she can satisfy him, the house will sell quickly. Then she'll receive a substantial bonus. Therefore, Lin Qiu is taking this very seriously. "It's about the same price as the previous villa," Chen Yang said directly. "Okay, I understand. Please wait a moment while I check available properties for you." Lin Qiu nodded. She then took out her tablet, logged into the company's internal housing allocation system, and made a query according to Chen Yang's instructions. After screening, 2 houses were quickly found that perfectly matched Chen Yang's requirements. So Lin Qiu immediately handed the tablet to Chen Yang and said respectfully, "Mr. Chen, there are only these 2 houses available right now, which best suit your needs. You can take a look first, and if you're satisfied, we'll go see the actual property in a bit." Upon hearing this, Chen Yang took the tablet and looked at the screen. It includes pictures of the villa's exterior and interior, and even several videos. It allows people to roughly see the exterior of the villa, as well as its interior decoration and layout. Of course, to get a more direct feel for the quality of a villa, you have to experience it in person. Chen Yang looked at both houses and found that the layouts were different from the one he was currently living in. "Overall, it's not bad. It feels pretty good. Let's go see the property in person," Chen Yang said to Lin Qiu. "No problem, I'll go prepare first." Lin Qiu bowed and nodded. 10 minutes later, Lin Qiu and Chen Yang walked out of the sales center and came to the luxury business vehicle fleet. Seeing this scene, Lin Qiu was stunned and deeply shocked. Who exactly is Mr. Chen, and why is he so wealthy? She used to drive a Maybach, and now in such a short time, she's traveling with a luxury car fleet and bodyguards. It's like she's upgraded several levels. "Manager Lin, please take the car in the back." Yang Li smiled slightly at Lin Qiu and said, "No problem." After a long while, Lin Qiu came to his senses from the shock and got into the passenger seat. Chen Yang and Yi Qingye got into the back seat of the luxury car driven by Yang Li. Soon, the convoy started and headed towards the OCT villas. 40 minutes later, the luxury convoy arrived at its destination. The car door opened, and everyone got off one after another. Lin Qiu led Chen Yang and his group into one of the villas. It occupies a total area of 800 square meters and is divided into 3 floors. The overall design leans towards a European modern art style, exuding a simple, grand, and luxurious feel. All the amenities found in high-end luxury homes are available here. There are 2 rooms on the first floor, and a total of 8 rooms on the second and third floors. Perfect timing, it will allow Yang Li and his brothers, as well as the housekeeper, to stay here. Captain Yang, what do you think? Chen Yang looked at Yang Li and asked him. Mr. Chen, I don't know much about villas, so if you ask me, I don't understand either. But if you ask me honestly, apart from being expensive, there's nothing wrong with this villa. Yang Li looked embarrassed. Clearly, he never expected that Chen Yang would ask for his opinion. After all, he had absolutely no idea about this. Asking is pointless. So you really like the design and layout of this villa? Chen Yang smiled and said, after all, it's a big villa. I don't think anyone would dislike it. Yang Li nodded and replied, all right, if that's the case, then things will be much easier from here on out. Chen Yang glanced at Lin Qiu, then asked, Manager Lin, this isn't the first time we've dealt with each other. What's the maximum discount your company can offer for this villa? And what will the final selling price be? Upon hearing this, Lin Qiu's expression turned serious, and he immediately addressed Chen Yang earnestly. Mr. Chen, are you planning to buy the house with cash? That's right. Chen Yang nodded. In that case, according to company regulations, after the discount, the final price of this villa is 185 million. Lin Qiu carefully calculated the price. After a moment, she met Chen Yang's gaze and said. Upon hearing this, Chen Yang readily agreed. Okay, I'll buy this villa. Chapter 254, Buying a Villa for Bodyguards to Live in. Are they just keeping assassins here? As soon as Chen Yang said this, not only Lin Qiu, but also Yang Li and his brothers showed an incredulous expression on their faces. A luxury villa worth 185 million yuan was bought so easily. Don't you need to take another look or reconsider? Are rich people really this carefree when buying villas? It feels like they're just going to the market to buy vegetables. That's far too frivolous. Mr. Chen, are you serious? Won't you reconsider? Lin Qiu was shocked, but since it wasn't the first time, he quickly came to his senses and asked Chen Yang to confirm again. Need not. This villa has a good location, and the decoration and layout are also quite nice. Selling it at this price isn't expensive. Since the price is right and I need to buy it, why not finalize it sooner rather than later? It will save us both time. Chen Yang chuckled lightly, then said to Lin Qiu, Mr. Chen is right. Fortunately, I was prepared and brought the purchase contract and POS machine with me. If Mr. Chen is certain that he wants to purchase this villa, we can sign the contract now, and the company can begin processing the relevant formalities this afternoon. Lin Qiu smiled gently. As she spoke, she took out 2 purchase contracts from her black briefcase and handed them to Chen Yang. Chen Yang took the contract, glanced at it, and confirmed that there were no problems. She took the pen from Lin Qiu and signed her name at the end of the contract. The contract was made in duplicate. After signing, Chen Yang took out his wallet from his pocket, took out a bank card, and handed it to Lin Qiu. Swipe your card. The PIN is the last 6 digits of your bank card number. Chen Yang spoke calmly. Upon seeing this, Lin Qiu respectfully accepted the bank card with both hands, entered the payment for the villa on the POS machine, and then swiped Chen Yang's bank card on it. Next, enter your payment password. Drop. Bill payment successful. As the announcement began, the scene fell silent. Yang Li and his brothers watched this scene with shock on their faces. At the same time, they gained a clearer understanding of Chen Yang's financial resources. A luxury villa worth 185 million yuan was bought on a whim. It must be admitted that Chen Yang is indeed very wealthy. He lives in a top-tier luxury villa, but then he turns around and buys another one next door. I have no idea what he's after. Such a move is simply unbelievable. Yang Li was filled with questions, but considering his own identity, he ultimately didn't dare to ask. After all, Chen Yang is rich, and he can spend his money however he wants. No one else has the right to interfere. If I overstep my bounds, it might leave a bad impression on Chen Yang. For Yang Li, this would undoubtedly be a losing proposition. Mr. Chen, congratulations on successfully purchasing a top-tier luxury mansion worth 185 million. I will have the company contact a cleaning company immediately to thoroughly clean the entire villa and ensure your satisfaction. Lin Qiu bowed slightly, then respectfully handed the bank card and payment receipt back to Chen Yang. Yes, thank you for your hard work, Manager Lin. Chen Yang nodded with a smile. A moment later, Chen Yang looked at Yang Li and his brothers, then spoke. Captain Yang, brothers, starting today, you will be living in this villa. In addition, I will arrange 2 live-in nannies for you to do your laundry, cook for you, and provide logistical support. so that you can devote yourself wholeheartedly to your work without any worries. If you encounter any difficulties or problems in your life, feel free to come to me anytime. I will definitely help you solve them within my capabilities, which is also my way of providing employee benefits. These words were spoken. The expressions of everyone present changed drastically. Mr. Chen, Mr. Chen, you mean you're buying this luxury villa not as an investment, but for me and my brothers to live in? Yang Li was struck dumb, completely stunned on the spot. It took him a good 10 seconds to recover from his shock, and he asked Chen Yang incredulously, "Of course, you are my bodyguards, and you must protect my personal safety 24 hours a day. In return, I will not only offer you $1 million annual salary, but I will also cover all your food, accommodation, and other expenses during your work period. Isn't this what I should do as the boss?" Chen Yang nodded with a serious expression. If it weren't for considerations of personal privacy and Yi Qingye, he might have allowed his bodyguards to stay at the villa. However, buying another villa next door for Yang Li and the others to live in would also be a good option. It's just a matter of spending a little more money. Moreover, villas are fixed assets and can retain their value. All things considered, the loss isn't too great. In order to settle Yang Li and his brothers properly and provide them with a better living environment. In Chen Yang's view, this effort was entirely worthwhile. "Mr. Chen, this is way too extravagant. What have we done to deserve living in such a luxurious villa?" Yang Li's first reaction was to refuse. It's not that he doesn't want to live in a luxury house, with a live-in maid to help with laundry and cooking. Rather, this kind of treatment is simply too good for them. It was so good that they had absolutely no resistance to it. This is practically raising assassins. With such financial power, how could Yang Li and his brothers not regard Chen Yang as their benefactor? I can't control what others do, but my bodyguards and guards can enjoy this kind of treatment. As the old saying goes in the military, an army is raised for 1,000 days to be used for one. The main reason I offer you such good benefits is that I hope you will be able to perform your duties responsibly in your work. Therefore, I hope you understand that these benefits are not something I am giving you as charity, but something you need to earn through your work ethic and your own abilities. If you don't perform well later, don't blame me for being ruthless. I will fire you without hesitation and have my second uncle replace you with a new batch of people. I believe that no one will refuse the benefits and treatment I offer. Therefore, I hope you will not be arrogant or complacent and will demonstrate your military spirit and attitude. Chen Yang's gaze swept over everyone. At the same time, he spoke up to explain. "Mr. Chen, please rest assured. I assure you that our team will never slack off in our work. If anyone does without you even having to say a word, I, as the team leader, will personally kick them out of the team and never hire them again." Yang Li was extremely excited. Of course, he also felt a sense of pressure. On one hand, there was Chen Yang's unconditional trust in him. On the other hand, there were issues of behavioral norms and ideological management for his comrades. But then again, they have the obligation and responsibility to fulfill their duties, since they have received such top-notch treatment from Chen Yang. Any dereliction of duty or obsequious behavior is a betrayal of Chen Yang's trust. Once a crisis of trust occurs, then they won't be far from losing their jobs. After all, given Chen Yang's status, changing his bodyguards would be no difficult task at all, and they will be completely out of luck with this top-paying job. It's even possible that they'll never have such a good job and benefits again in their lifetime. Chapter 255, Courtesy First Then Force, Morning Exercise Reveals Skill. The opportunities a person encounters in their lifetime are limited. Chen Yang offered Yang Li and his brothers such good treatment. If they neglected their duties or were not competent enough, Chen Yang would not support them for nothing. Firing and replacing employees is a perfectly normal thing to do. However, if such a thing were to happen, it would mean that Yang Li and others would have their reputations completely ruined. It would be virtually impossible to get such a generous salary and benefits again. Chen Yang's approach of first being courteous and then resorting to force was a way of giving them face. "Captain Yang, I believe you can do a good job." Chen Yang smiled and nodded, then gave Yang Li a look. After all, the other party was a retired captain from the Special Forces, so there was absolutely no problem with his abilities. Secondly, Chen Yang also trusted his second uncle Yi Zhanshan's judgment. Everyone he sends must have been carefully selected and considered from all aspects. That's why Chen Yang trusted Yang Li and his brothers without reservation. On the side, sales manager Lin Qiu swallowed hard. Only at this moment did Lin Qiu finally understand why Chen Yang suddenly wanted to buy a villa today, a month later. It turns out he was trying to provide accommodation for his bodyguards. It has to be said that Chen Yang really went all out. They offered their bodyguards $1 million annual salary, provided them with luxury cars and top-tier mansions, and even arranged for live-in nannies to handle their laundry and cooking. In ancient times, this would definitely be considered a powerful and wealthy person keeping assassins. If we don't move, all is well, but if we do, it will be a fight to the death. Lin Qiu felt a pang of envy upon seeing this and couldn't help but consider quitting her current job and working under Chen Yang. Soon, Lin Qiu took out his phone, dialed the company leader's number, and personally reported the situation here. They requested that the company contact a cleaning company and arrange for staff to come and clean the area immediately, ensuring the matter was resolved as quickly as possible. The leader readily agreed. After a phone call, the cleaning company dispatched a professional cleaning team of 12 people. The villa was thoroughly cleaned from top to bottom, inside and out. An hour and a half later, Lin Qiu asked Chen Yang to come and inspect the goods. After confirming that there were no problems, he nodded in satisfaction. Afterwards, Chen Yang had Yang Li and the bodyguards move into the villa. At the same time, Chen Yang then contacted a nanny agency and asked them to send 2 reliable nannies to be responsible for cleaning, laundry, and cooking, with the highest market salary. Money makes the world go round. With Chen Yang utilizing his financial resources, everything proceeded smoothly. The next morning, just before 7 o'clock, Chen Yang woke up in bed and found Yiqingya wearing a black lace nightgown, sleeping soundly against his chest, as if having a sweet dream with a faint smile on her lips. She has a stunning figure, graceful curves, and fair, smooth skin. Up close, she is captivating. Chen Yang is a normal man. If it weren't for Yiqingya's pregnancy, he would have lost his patience long ago. It seems I need to find an opportunity to talk to Qingya. Either we should sleep in separate rooms, or we should be mindful of the impact and refrain from doing things that arouse primal urges. Chen Yang thought to himself. Before long, he quietly moved Yiqingya aside, then got up, went into the bathroom to wash up, changed into sportswear, and headed to the lobby on the first floor. As he stepped out of the villa, he spotted Yang Li and his 2 brothers. "Mr. Chen, you're up so early. Are you planning to go for a run?" When Yang Li saw Chen Yang's attire, a clear look of surprise flashed across his face. After all, he clearly hadn't expected Chen Yang to get up early to exercise. "Yes, I've always had the habit of exercising in the morning. Health is the foundation of everything. No matter what kind of work you do, you need a healthy body. Only in this way can you persevere in the long run." Faced with Yang Li's curious question, Chen Yang smiled slightly and answered, "Mr. Chen, you can continue your exercise as usual. My brothers and I will be with you and will make sure we don't bother you. Just let us not exist." Yang Li nodded and replied with a serious expression. Upon hearing this, Chen Yang strode out of the villa and, as usual, started running around the neighborhood. As Chen Yang's physical fitness continued to improve, his running speed also increased significantly. Yang Li and his brothers followed behind, expressing their amazement at Chen Yang's physical prowess. "Captain Yang, the boss's physical condition is amazing. His speed is almost on par with veteran soldiers who have been training in grassroots companies for years. No matter how you look at it, it doesn't seem like something an ordinary person could have." Yang Li nodded quietly. He thought so too. However, he still said with a smile, "Judging from how at ease Mr. Chen is, you can tell he has practiced a lot. Having better physical fitness is perfectly understandable." Chen Yang ran for nearly half an hour before his pace gradually slowed down. Finally, they found a quiet open space. "I warmed up my body and wrists a little before taking a few steps forward. Stand with your feet shoulder-width apart, then assume a starting stance." The next moment he moved. Host detected practicing Bagua Yulong Palm, proficiency plus 500. 8 trigrams swimming dragon palm, advanced level, 2501-0000. Host detected practicing Hung Kuan, proficiency plus 200. Hung Kuan beginner level, 2805-000. Host detected practicing military grappling techniques, proficiency plus 200. Military grappling techniques, beginner level, 2805-000. Host detected practicing the Black Dragon 18 hands, proficiency plus 200. Black Dragon 18 hands beginner level, 2805-000. In one breath, Chen Yang practiced all the traditional Chinese martial arts and military combat techniques he had learned, and skill proficiency also improved as a result. At the same time, Yang Li and his companions, who were standing not far away, stared wide-eyed, their faces filled with shock. They never expected that Chen Yang was not only physically excellent, but also a trained martial artist. The skill required is not just a simple routine. Instead, it's a real, practical fighting style, not about fancy moves, but about overwhelming force with one decisive blow. Even Yang Li himself wouldn't dare to guarantee that he would definitely win against Chen Yang. Captain Yang, if I'm not mistaken, the boss just demonstrated military combat techniques, including the Black Dragon 18 hands, and it was the uncut version. The boss must have received instruction from a martial arts expert in the military. Otherwise, it would have been impossible for him to learn these moves. Long Wu looked serious and said to Yang Li, "Mr. Chen is so young, yet he possesses such amazing strength. This alone proves that he has remarkable talent in martial arts. If he were interested in this, given his status, it wouldn't be difficult for him to learn military combat techniques, grappling techniques, or even the Black Dragon 18 hands. I'm very curious now. Mr. Chen is clearly quite capable, so why does he go to such great lengths and pay such high salaries to hire us as his bodyguards?" Yang Li's eyes were deep, and he spoke with a meaningful gaze. "Captain Yang, I think the boss is very capable, and there's not much connection between him wanting to hire bodyguards and that. After all, given his status, it's impossible for him to personally intervene and resolve every problem he encounters. Moreover, if he really encounters any danger, even if he is very strong, it is difficult to guarantee that he can escape unscathed. It's perfectly normal to hire bodyguards at high salaries to handle potential dangers in situations where people are willing to put themselves at risk." Long Wu smiled and shared his views and insights with Yang Li. Chapter 256, accompanying his wife shopping, spending lavishly. "What you said makes sense. Regardless of the reason, since we are receiving high salaries from General Manager Chen, we must shoulder our responsibilities. Security is of utmost importance and cannot be compromised." Yang Li, with a serious expression, addressed Long Wu and Han Hu. "Yes, Captain Yang." Long Wu and Han Hu nodded emphatically. Chen Yang was completely unaware of this. He was immersed in the joy of his ever-increasing skill proficiency, and his own strength was growing at a visible rate. Another quarter of an hour passed. Chen Yang stopped what he was doing and wiped the sweat from his forehead and body. Back at the villa, Aunt Li had already prepared breakfast. Yi Qingye changed into a looser beige dress, and her long black hair was styled into a high ponytail with a hairpin, which added to her charm. "Honey, you're back from your morning exercise." Upon seeing Chen Yang, Yi Qingye immediately stepped forward and asked with a smile. "Yeah, I did some light jogging and then practiced some martial arts. I was covered in sweat and I smelled quite strongly. I'll take a shower first and change my clothes. If you're hungry, you can have breakfast first, no need to wait for me." Chen Yang smiled slightly and said gently, "Good." Yi Qingye nodded obediently. She has twins in her belly who need nutrition, so even if she doesn't eat herself, she has to think about them. So she agreed without any hesitation. About half an hour, Chen Yang walked down from the second floor and entered the restaurant. By this time, Yi Qingye had finished breakfast, but she didn't leave. Instead, she waited for Chen Yang to arrive. When Chen Yang ate breakfast, she would sit next to him. Even if she did nothing, just looking at him would make her feel incredibly happy. "Honey, it's Saturday. Don't forget, you promised to come with me to visit my parents." Just then, Yi Qingye suddenly spoke up. "Yes, I haven't forgotten. In a little while, we'll go out for a stroll and buy some gifts for the two elders. Before my dad left last time, Uncle Yi asked your brother to send over some specially supplied cigarettes, alcohol, and tea. I've always remembered that. Now, it's time to find an opportunity to make up for it." Chen Yang smiled faintly, met Yi Qingye's gaze, and spoke softly. "Okay." Upon hearing that Chen Yang planned to take her shopping, Yi Qingye's face immediately lit up with joy, and she readily agreed. 9 o'clock in the morning, Wansheng Commercial Shopping Center. A convoy of luxury cars arrived at the underground parking garage. The car doors opened, and Chen Yang and Yi Qingye stepped out of the cars. After they stopped, the two linked arms and walked side by side toward the elevator. Yang Li and his two brothers followed closely behind. The elevator takes you directly to the second floor, where you'll find various high-end luxury brand stores. Previously, Chen Yang might not have had the courage to go inside the store, even if he stood at the entrance. But now, Chen Yang's net worth has already reached an astonishing figure. Let alone these top-tier luxury clothes, even the entire store. If Yi Qingye likes it, Chen Yang will buy it for her without hesitation. The two strolled around for a while, and Chen Yang bought Yi Qingye several new outfits and shoes. After that, we went to other floors. High-end skincare products, conditioners, body lotions, face masks, makeup palettes, eyebrow pencils. If Yi Qingye's gaze lingered on anything for more than 5 seconds, Chen Yang would immediately have the store salesperson pick it up without her having to say a word. In just 1 hour, Chen Yang spent a fortune, showing extreme generosity. Yi Qingye initially felt sorry for Chen Yang's wasteful spending, but Chen Yang told her that he had made a fortune investing in U.S. stocks in the past 2 days. Even if these gifts weren't expensive, Chen Yang wouldn't hesitate to buy them for Yi Qingye without batting an eye, as long as she liked them. Hearing this, Yi Qingye felt a warm current well up in her heart, filled with emotion. After, Chen Yang took Yi Qingye to other shopping malls and specialty stores, and bought Yi Zhenghua a carbon fiber fishing rod, 2 He Tianxia fish, and 2 boxes of vintage Maodai. I bought Wenji a Chong Sam made entirely by hand using Suzhou embroidery, as well as some skincare products and a massage device. They only turned around and drove towards the Yi family's house when the trunk was completely full. The Yi family. Inside the lobby, Chen Yang asked Yang Li and the others to help move all the gifts inside. This commotion naturally caught the attention of Yi Zhenghua and Wen Jai, a married couple. Chen Yang, why did you buy so many gifts? We have everything we need. Why spend so much money? Yi Zhenghua looked at Chen Yang and said with a serious expression, Uncle Yi, I've always remembered the good cigarettes and alcohol you sent to my dad through Brother Yi last time. That's why I wanted to send some back to you and give you some gifts in return. I heard from Qingye that you enjoy fishing at the reservoir in your spare time. Therefore, I specially visited several fishing tackle stores to select a fishing rod for you. I hope you will have good luck with your fishing rod, catch fish every time you shoot, and never come back empty-handed. Chen Yang placed the fishing rod box on the tea table, a bright smile on his face, and said to Yi Zhenghua. Upon hearing this, Yi Zhenghua nodded in satisfaction. That's good, you've put your heart into it. Aunt Wen, these are skincare products and face masks. We hope you can take better care of yourself and stay young forever. As for this box, it contains a Chong Sam that Qingye and I bought especially for you. If I wear this to any party in the future, I will definitely become the focus of attention and outshine everyone else. A moment later, Chen Yang immediately looked at Wen Jai, his face full of flattery. Wen Jai smiled sweetly, becoming more and more satisfied with Chen Yang the more she looked at him. Because Chen Yang is not only highly capable, but also has exceptionally high emotional intelligence. Certain behaviors are hard not to evoke a positive impression. Chapter 257, A Visit to the Yi Family to Present Gifts. I have some medical knowledge. Most importantly, he and his daughter are already engaged, and he is the son-in-law recognized by the Yi family. Given her status, Wen Jai wouldn't dare to give Chen Yang a hard time. Chen Yang, since this is your kind gesture, then Auntie will accept it without hesitation. Uncle Yi, Aunt Wen, let's have lunch at home. I'll have someone go and buy some ingredients right now, and I'll personally cook you a sumptuous meal later. Chen Yang finished speaking to Yi Zhenghua and Wen Jai. Then he gave Yang Li a few instructions, asking him to send someone to the supermarket. Yang Li immediately nodded and readily agreed. And at this time, Yi Zhenghua and Wen Jai then realized that Chen Yang was accompanied by several bodyguards. Dad, Mom, Chen Yang asked my second uncle to help him find these bodyguards. They are all elite soldiers who retired from his military region, and each of them is exceptionally capable. With them around, Chen Yang and I will be safe from now on. Yi Qingye noticed a hint of surprise and curiosity in her parents' eyes, so she immediately spoke up to explain. Chen Yang did the right thing. Given his current status, he should indeed be equipped with some bodyguards. Your second uncle is a military region leader with countless elite soldiers under his command. Finding a few retired Special Forces soldiers would be no difficult task for him. With their protection, you won't have to live in fear all the time anymore. Upon hearing this, Yi Zhenghua's eyes immediately revealed a hint of appreciation, and he said. Chen Yang walked to the sofa and sat down, then his gaze fell on the tea tray. Seeing that Yi Zhenghua was about to make tea after boiling the water, he immediately stood up and took the kettle, looking at Yi Zhenghua with a faint smile. Uncle Yi, let me do it. The words were spoken. Before Yi Zhenghua could react, He had already started rinsing the teacups and teapot, his movements incredibly swift. The entire process was smooth and flowing, giving people a sense of artistic beauty. Host detected brewing tea. Tea ceremony proficiency plus 200. Tea ceremony beginner level, 405,000. A moment later, the tea was ready, and Chen Yang was the first to serve it to Yi Zhenghua and Wen Jai, saying softly with a smile, "Uncle Yi, Aunt Wen, have some tea." After doing all that, Chen Yang brought out a cup of tea and placed it in front of Yi Qingya. "Qingya, this is yours." "Thanks." Yi Qingya gave Chen Yang an appreciative look and thanked him. Everyone took a sip of tea and nodded in agreement. Even Yi Zhenghua had to admit it. Using the same tea leaves and teaware, the taste of the tea brewed by Chen Yang and the tea brewed by him was quite different. "Chen Yang, what have you been busy with lately? I heard that your company is doing very well in terms of scale and development. In fact, you've already made a name for yourself in the financial world. Many investors are eager to invite you to dinner to discuss potential collaborations." After a while, Yi Zhenghua's expression gradually turned serious, and he took the initiative to ask Chen Yang, "Uncle Yi, the company is now officially on the right track. It's understandable that it's attracting attention because of its impressive investment performance. The reason why such a big commotion has occurred is mainly because Qin Group, Tianhuan Group, and Weihai Group have all invested in the company and reached a cooperation agreement. It was because of this incident that external institutions and investors became interested in my company and wanted to learn more about it. However, I already have a clear plan and goals, and everything in the company is progressing according to my plan." Chen Yang was not intimidated. Instead, he met Yi Zhenghua's gaze directly and began to speak fluently. At this moment, he had long since shed the naivete of a college student. In his place was the leadership aura of someone with complete control over the business world. Yes, young people are energetic, daring, and have the courage to think and act, which is a good thing. Go ahead and do it boldly. Even if the final result is not satisfactory, at least you will have gained experience in the process. In this way, we will lay a solid foundation for future success. As long as you stay motivated and keep striving, you will succeed sooner or later and reach the top." Yi Zhenghua nodded, his appreciation for Chen Yang growing stronger. The more they talked, the more in-depth their conversation became. On the other side, Wen Jai called her daughter Yi Qingya into the room, and the two had a heart-to-heart talk. "Zioya, you're engaged to Chen Yang now, so you're no longer a child, you're a little adult. If there's anything, you should discuss it with Chen Yang more often, instead of just acting recklessly according to your own whims. The way for couples to get along is to tolerate and understand each other. You two haven't been dating for very long, you're still in the honeymoon phase, and your relationship hasn't fully matured yet. Once the initial excitement wears off, you'll find that life is more about the mundane things like daily necessities than just love. Right now, you're pregnant, so it's inevitable that you'll sometimes feel physically and mentally exhausted. If you have any problems, communicate with Chen Yang promptly, instead of wasting your time internally, understand." Wen Jai spoke earnestly to her daughter Yi Qingya. "Mom, Chen Yang and I get along very well. The situation you described simply doesn't exist. He is responsible, has a sense of duty, and most importantly, he is very good to me. During working hours, he goes to the company to earn money. After work, he almost never goes out for social events or attends drinking parties, but rushes home to cook for me. Take me shopping or outings when you're free on weekends. Our relationship is getting better and better. It's not as bad as you say." Yi Qingya shook her head and immediately corrected her mother's statement. Upon hearing this, Wen Jai realized that she might have been overthinking things. She understands Chen Yang. "I know that what my daughter said is true. Chen Yang is good in every way. She is equally at home in formal settings and in the kitchen. Most importantly, Yi Qingya is truly impeccable. Even Wen Jai couldn't be found to have any faults. Mom, don't worry. Chen Yang is the man I chose myself, and I believe he will always treat me well. Although he is currently focused on his work, he has not neglected me. Instead, he gives me more love and care, which makes me feel safe and secure, and I don't feel anxious or insecure at all." Yi Qingya held her mother's arm and kept saying good things about Chen Yang. "Yes, Chen Yang is indeed a rare good kid. Since you've said so, Mom won't ask any more questions. As long as you two live a good life, your father and I will be content." Wen Jai smiled and said. Outside the living room, Chen Yang looked at Yi Zhenghua and after a moment suddenly asked, "Uncle Yi, have you been staying up late a lot lately?" Do you also experience chest tightness and difficulty breathing from time to time? And occasionally, do you experience constipation? How did you know? Chen Yang, do you perhaps know medicine? Based on his symptoms over the past few days, Yi Zhenghua discovered that Chen Yang's description was completely accurate. Immediately, a look of shock and disbelief appeared on his face as he looked at Chen Yang and said, Chapter 258, The Massage Shows Significant Results. Yi Zhenghua is shocked. I know a little bit. If Uncle Yi trusts me, I can give you a massage and treatment. I guarantee it will be effective quickly. Chen Yang smiled faintly and slowly began to speak. His medical skills have now reached an advanced level, and his application of the 4 diagnostic methods, inspection, auscultation, inquiry, and palpation, has reached an extremely high level. That's why Chen Yang was able to diagnose Yi Zhenghua's condition so quickly, considering that Yi Zhenghua is his future father-in-law. Therefore, Chen Yang naturally could not sit idly by. But then again, Chen Yang was confident he could cure Yi Zhenghua, but the other party might not agree. You mean massage alone can cure my symptoms? Yi Zhenghua quickly understood what Chen Yang meant, but he was clearly somewhat skeptical. That's why she spoke up to confirm with Chen Yang again. Yes, that's right. Your symptoms are not serious. It's just that years of staying up late have caused you to become ill from overwork. This has prevented your body's meridians and blood from flowing smoothly. If you go to the hospital, the doctor will probably give you an IV drip, prescribe some sedatives, and let you rest for a few days so you can fully recover. And using traditional Chinese medicine treatments would be even simpler. Professional TCM massage techniques have the effect of clearing the meridians and promoting blood circulation. Once the blood circulation is cleared and you get a good night's sleep, you will definitely be fully recovered the next day and full of energy. Chen Yang smiled and nodded. At the same time, he patiently explained to Yi Zhenghua. Yi Zhenghua was skeptical of what Chen Yang said. After pondering for a few seconds, he finally nodded, giving Chen Yang a chance to perform. After all, Chen Yang had never boasted in front of him. Although it sounded unbelievable, seeing Chen Yang's confident demeanor, he couldn't help but wonder if the other party would bring him a surprise. With this in mind, Yi Zhenghua slowly said to Chen Yang, Chen Yang, since you're so confident, then give it a try. I also want to see if the massage technique you've been talking about actually works. Upon hearing this, Chen Yang's lips curled up slightly, and his smile became even brighter. Don't worry, I will definitely not let Uncle Yi down. After saying that, Chen Yang turned to Yi Zhenghua and said, Uncle Yi, turn your back over and lie down on the sofa. Relax completely, leave the rest to me. Yi Zhenghua nodded and cooperated fully with Chen Yang throughout, lying down on the sofa as instructed. Chen Yang walked up to Yi Zhenghua and quickly placed his hands on several acupoints on his back, using skillful force with the fingers, then performing the massage. Yi Zhenghua first felt some pain in his back, but this feeling didn't last more than a few seconds before a surge of heat appeared in the area where Chen Yang's fingers had pressed. As the heat flow expanded, a feeling of comfort that was difficult to describe in words immediately spread through the body. The blood flowed faster throughout the body, and the symptoms of back pain, cold hands and feet, shortness of breath and chest tightness that I used to experience seemed to be greatly relieved from this moment on. It really works. Chen Yang only pressed it for a short while, and the effect was immediate. This skill is anything but simple. Yi Zhenghua is experienced and knowledgeable, but they couldn't help but be amazed by Chen Yang's massage skills. No matter how capable or noble a person is, they will eventually experience birth, aging, sickness, and death. Therefore, the higher one's position and the more prestigious one's status, the more one will prioritize life and health. These people are usually surrounded by top-tier medical resources. As society continues to develop, Western medicine has gradually surpassed traditional Chinese medicine and taken the lead. When people get sick, they habitually go to the hospital, take various special medicines, and try to cure the disease in the shortest possible time. In severe cases, they may even have surgery. Although it is effective quickly, it carries huge risks. Some high-ranking figures at the top of the pyramid tend to prefer traditional Chinese medicine treatment in order to avoid such risks or surgical complications. Conservative treatment is performed without surgery or relying on various special drugs and high-precision instruments. Although traditional Chinese medicine treatments are slow to take effect, they work by continuously conditioning the body to ultimately eliminate the root cause of the disease. Therefore, the status of a master of traditional Chinese medicine among the elite is far greater than that of a Western doctor. In Kyoto, there are a few renowned traditional Chinese medicine doctors who, with their extraordinary medical skills, are treated as honored guests by countless powerful and wealthy families, enjoying a high status. Although Chen Yang cannot compare with them, but at such a young age, he has already mastered this massage technique, which shows that he is a promising talent. Host detected giving massage to father-in-law Yi Zhenghua. Traditional Chinese medicine skill proficiency plus 500. Advanced traditional Chinese medicine practitioner, 501,000. Just then, a virtual light screen suddenly appeared in front of Chen Yang, and at the same time, a system notification sounded in his ear. "Uncle Yi, are you feeling any better?" Chen Yang smiled faintly and took the initiative to ask Yi Zhenghua. "Not only does it work, but the effect is particularly noticeable. After you massaged me, I feel completely refreshed and have an indescribable sense of comfort." "Chen Yang, who did you learn your massage skills from? You've really helped me a lot." Yi Zhenghua smiled kindly and expressed his approval of Chen Yang's massage technique. Then a hint of curiosity flashed in his eyes, and he asked, "Uncle Yi, I usually enjoy reading, and I'm particularly curious about certain skills. I learned this massage technique from an ancient Chinese medicine book, and then I combined it with online teaching videos from professors at Chinese medicine hospitals." Qingya had previously experienced symptoms of lower back pain and general discomfort. I gave her a full-body massage, and the next day when she woke up, her problems had completely disappeared. After a while, I gained quite a bit of experience with massage. Chen Yang did not hide anything and answered Yi Zhenghua truthfully. Upon hearing this, Yi Zhenghua's first reaction was shock and disbelief. Who can easily learn this skill through self-study alone? But Yi Zhenghua thought that Chen Yang not only had a photographic memory, but also had extremely high comprehension. He mastered many skills easily through self-study. Financial investment, chess, tea ceremony, cooking. Chen Yang excels in all of these skills. Therefore, it is not surprising that you can learn this massage technique. As the saying goes, those who know don't need to be taught, and those who don't can't be taught. Any knowledge or skill, as long as you are interested and can learn the basics, is not too difficult to improve upon. Most people find even getting started difficult. That's why there's the saying, a trade is like a mountain to climb. However, this situation does not seem to apply to Chen Yang. Chapter 259, Acupuncture and Herbal Bath. On the contrary, with Chen Yang's talent, as long as he is interested, he can quickly learn any subject or skill, master it, and use it with ease. At this moment, Yi Zhenghua looked at Chen Yang with eyes full of admiration. Such an outstanding talent has now become his son-in-law. Just for that, Yi Zhenghua's face radiated pride. Good. It's a good thing that young people have interests and hobbies, and are willing to spend time learning and studying them. Yi Zhenghua nodded and smiled at Chen Yang. Click, the door opened. Wen Jai and her daughter Yi Qingya came from their room to the living room. Just then, they saw Chen Yang giving Yi Zhenghua a massage. "Old Yi, Chen Yang, what are you two doing?" Wen Jai looked puzzled and couldn't help but ask. "Aunt Wen, Uncle Yi has some minor health problems. I happen to know a little about massage, so I want to help him improve his circulation and relieve his symptoms." Chen Yang looked up at Wen Jai and explained with a smile. "What's going on?" Upon hearing that Yi Zhenghua was unwell, Wen Jai's expression changed instantly. She immediately walked up to Chen Yang and asked him in a serious tone. "Aunt Wen, don't be nervous. Uncle Yi spends most of his time hunched over his desk, staying up late and not getting enough rest, so over time he has developed some chronic health problems. For example, muscle strain, chest tightness and shortness of breath, gastrointestinal discomfort, etc. These are the most common ailments among middle-aged and elderly people. They are not serious illnesses, but they tend to recur and are very distressing. I can give him a massage to reduce the occurrence of symptoms. At the same time, it can also improve his sleep quality and help his body recover better." Chen Yang noticed the worry on Wen Jai's face. He quickly spoke up to comfort her. "Mom," Chen Yang said, "Dad is fine, so there's nothing serious. Don't scare yourself. Also, let me tell you, Chen Yang's massage skills are truly amazing. I had a period of very poor sleep quality after I got pregnant, and as the baby's weight increased, my lower back and abdominal muscles became weak, leading to lower back fatigue. He gave me a full-body massage, and all my problems disappeared at once, and my sleep quality improved a lot." On the side, after hearing this, Yi Qingya immediately stood up and spoke up for Chen Yang. "Madam, Chen Yang is indeed quite capable. After his massage, I felt much better. so you don't need to worry too much. Yi Zhenghua sat up from the sofa and smiled faintly. Wen Jai stepped forward and touched, and looked at Yi Zhenghua here and there. After confirming several times that there was nothing wrong with his health and complexion, I finally breathed a sigh of relief. Chen Yang, I never expected you to be so talented. I was even mistaken about you. Perfect timing. I haven't been feeling well lately either. If you don't mind, could you take a look at it for me? Wen Jai glanced at Chen Yang, then spoke softly. No problem. Aunt Wen, give me your right hand. Let me take your pulse. Chen Yang agreed without hesitation. Wen Jai is his mother-in-law, so her health is of utmost importance. Now that such an opportunity has presented itself, Chen Yang naturally wouldn't miss it. Upon hearing this, Wen Jai stepped forward and extended her hand to Chen Yang. Chen Yang helped Wen Jai sit down on the sofa. Then he put his index, middle, and ring fingers together and placed them on Wen Jai's pulse to carefully diagnose her. In just a few seconds, Chen Yang had a complete understanding of Wen Jai's physical condition. Chen Yang, have you diagnosed any problems? Wen Jai looked curious and asked Chen Yang in a low voice. Aunt Wen, your condition is much more serious than Uncle's. Because I stand in high heels all year round, it makes it difficult for blood and qi to circulate in my calves. In winter, they feel especially cold. In addition, you always feel unbearable stinging pain in your abdomen when you have your period. The reason for this is mainly due to the health problems you had when you gave birth and were in postpartum confinement years ago. It recurs every now and then. You didn't take it seriously, which is why the condition has become increasingly severe in recent years, affecting you. Chen Yang pondered for a long time before slowly speaking. Upon hearing this, Wen Jai's expression froze, and she stood there completely stunned. The symptoms Chen Yang described were exactly the same as hers. To avoid worrying her husband and daughter, Wen Jai didn't tell anyone. Unexpectedly, Chen Yang only needed to take her pulse for a moment to fully understand her secret. Chen Yang's diagnostic skills are simply too amazing. Madam, you've been unwell. Why haven't you mentioned it? Yi Zhenghua's brows furrowed immediately. He and Wen Jai had been married for many years and had always shared the same bed. As a result, he was completely unaware that his wife was unwell. If Chen Yang hadn't brought it up today, he probably would still be in the dark. He's such a terrible husband. Mom, why did you keep such a big thing from me and Dad? Yi Qingye quickly grabbed Wen Jai's arm and asked with a worried expression. Wen Jai smiled gently, her lips curving slightly upwards. It's an old problem. I didn't tell you mainly because I didn't want you to worry. Actually, I had previously sought treatment from doctors privately. But those treatments only addressed the symptoms, not the root cause, and were difficult to cure completely. Chen Yang, since you can see Auntie's physical condition, do you have a cure? Upon hearing this, Chen Yang replied with a faint smile. Aunt Wen, there is certainly a way, but it will be a bit troublesome and will take up a lot of your time. Would you be willing to give it a try? Before Wen Jai could speak, Yi Qingye immediately declared, Honey, no matter what method we use or how much it costs, I hope you can do everything you can to treat my mother and completely cure her illness. Chen Yang nodded, making a solemn promise. Honey, don't worry. Aunt Wen is not only your mother, but also my mother-in-law. Because of this relationship, I will definitely do my best and will never let you down. At this moment, Yi Zhenghua also stated directly, Chen Yang, as long as you can cure your aunt's illness, no matter how expensive the medicinal materials are, as long as you ask, I will use the resources of the Yi family to send them to you at all costs. Uncle Yi, don't worry, I'll take care of this. Chen Yang met Yi Zhenghua's gaze and solemnly assured him. After a while, Chen Yang said to Wen Jai, Aunt Wen, my treatment method is acupuncture and medicated bath. Therefore, we need to ask Auntie to change into a clean and refreshing outfit so that her back can be exposed, so that I can apply acupuncture. Wen Jai was taken aback at first, then a hint of embarrassment appeared on her face. Chapter 260, The 12 Needles of the Ghost Gate. After all, she was an elder, and it would be a little awkward for her to dress neatly and cleanly in front of Chen Yang, a younger person. But he did not avoid seeking medical treatment despite his illness. If Chen Yang can cure the chronic illness that has plagued her for many years, this little effort is nothing at all. Moreover, Chen Yang is her son-in-law, so he would never have any bad intentions. All of this was solely due to the need for medical treatment. Mom, there's no need to hesitate. Honey, wait here for a moment. My mom and I will go in and get ready. I'll call you in once it's all set up. Yi Qingye noticed her mother's embarrassment. However, with my mother's health and safety in mind, this was not the time to worry about such trivial matters. After all, in the eyes of doctors, treating and saving lives is the core objective. As for the others, they were simply not taken seriously. Most importantly, Yi Qingye trusted Chen Yang's character and knew that he would never act recklessly. Good. Chen Yang nodded in agreement without even thinking. Soon, Wen Jai and her daughter Yi Qingye returned to their room. Uncle Yi, do you have paper and pen? Chen Yang asked Yi Zhenghua. Of course. Yi Zhenghua opened the drawer, took out a notebook and a pen, and handed them to Chen Yang. Chen Yang picked up a pen and wrote down the names of more than a dozen Chinese medicinal herbs in his notebook. The dosage was also carefully noted at the end. Clearly, he is writing a prescription for traditional Chinese medicine. Host is detected writing. Calligraphy proficiency plus 1000. Given that the host's calligraphy skills have already reached at least the beginner level, the level is upgraded to the primary level. Calligraphy beginner, 505,000. Just then, a virtual light screen suddenly appeared in front of Chen Yang's eyes, and at the same time, a system notification sounded in his ears. The next moment, a flood of memories surged through his mind, containing a wealth of information about calligraphy techniques and appreciation skills. Then Chen Yang absorbed and digested them one by one, eventually transforming them into his own abilities, which he could use freely. After writing the prescription, Chen Yang tore the paper off his notebook. Then, as he walked out of the Yi family's gate, he handed the document to Yang Li and instructed him. Captain Yang, send someone to the nearest Chinese medicine shop to buy a pack of silver needles and a disinfecting alcohol lamp. Please have the pharmacy staff fill out the prescription according to this prescription and bring it back with you. Remember, you have to be fast. Seeing Chen Yang's serious expression, Yang Li immediately nodded emphatically and replied, Don't worry, Mr. Chen, I'll take care of it right away. Half an hour passed in the blink of an eye. The two brothers, who were buying ingredients and medicine, arrived at the Yi family home almost at the same time. After receiving the silver needles and the alcohol lamp, Chen Yang immediately headed towards the room. At this time, Wen Jai and Yi Qingye were already prepared. Chen Yang, I'm counting on you from now on. Wen Jai lay face down on the bed, her clothes lifted high at the back, revealing her flawless white skin. She turned to the side, glancing at Chen Yang out of the corner of her eye, and said, Don't worry, Aunt Wen, the treatment won't take long. It will take effect very quickly after I administer the acupuncture. Chen Yang replied with a faint smile. Then he lit the alcohol lamp and opened the whole package of silver needles. Take one out and heat it over a flame to sterilize it. The next second, Chen Yang slowly approached the bedside, his right hand holding a silver needle, aiming at the acupoints on Wen Jai's back. His hand speed was so fast that Yi Qingye, who was standing next to him, couldn't even see it. The silver needle was then inserted into the acupoint and stood upright. In one breath, Chen Yang inserted 12 silver needles, symmetrically arranged on both sides, forming a special symbol. This is a special acupuncture technique, the 12 ghost needles, that the system rewarded Chen Yang with after he upgraded his traditional Chinese medicine skills to an advanced level. It can be used to treat various stubborn diseases and serious illnesses. At this moment, Chen Yang's use of this to cure Wen Jai's old ailment was like using a cannon to kill a mosquito, a complete waste of talent. But the effects are visible to the naked eye. Wen Jai felt as if a warm current was surging through her body, flowing through her blood to every part of her torso. After circulating through the body, it eventually gathers in one's danshan, becoming a huge source of nourishment for the body. At the same time, all the ailments that had accumulated in her body over the years were treated, and her whole body exuded a sense of ease and comfort that is hard to describe in words. Host detected using the 12 ghost needles to treat mother-in-law's incurable illness. Traditional Chinese medicine skill proficiency has been doubled, plus 2000. Advanced Traditional Chinese Medicine Practitioner, 2001-0000. At this moment, a virtual light screen popped up in front of Chen Yang's eyes, and a system notification sounded in his ears. But Chen Yang had no time to pay attention to that. His focus was entirely on Wen Jai's information. A quarter of an hour passed in the blink of an eye. As Chen Yang removed all the silver needles, he casually covered himself with his clothes. Then, using skillful force with his fingers, he began to massage Wen Jai's back. A feeling of comfort that was hard to describe in words almost made Wen Jai shout out. Fortunately, she covered her mouth with her hand in time. Otherwise, her image in front of Chen Yang and her daughter would have been completely ruined. A few minutes later, Aunt Wen, how are you feeling now? Are you feeling any better? Chen Yang stopped what he was doing and asked Wen Jai with a faint smile. The aunt felt more comfortable than ever before. Chen Yang, your acupuncture skills have truly broadened my horizons. Wen Jai straightened her clothes, then sat up in bed, looking at Chen Yang with disbelief in her eyes. She could never have imagined it without experiencing it firsthand. Chen Yang is so young, yet he is so proficient in traditional Chinese medicine. Their acupuncture skills, in particular, are simply breathtaking. Aunt Wen, once the acupuncture is finished, your symptoms will be more than half cured. The condition can be completely cured by soaking in the medicinal bath a few more times. Chen Yang told him frankly. Real? Chen Yang, thank you so much. If it weren't for your help in treating my illness, I don't know how much longer I would have been suffering from this stubborn disease. Upon hearing this, Wen Jai's face lit up with joy. To avoid worrying her husband and daughter, she had been silently enduring the torment of her chronic illness. In severe cases, she even resorted to taking painkillers to alleviate the pain. Ultimately, it's just a temporary fix, not a cure. But at this moment, Chen Yang helped her get rid of the root cause of her illness through acupuncture treatment. This means that Wen Jai will no longer have to suffer from this chronic illness and will have a healthy body. Therefore, Wen Jai was genuinely grateful to Chen Yang. Aunt Wen, you're too kind. I am very grateful to you for not objecting to my relationship with Qingya and for being willing to let us get engaged. Now that I finally have the opportunity to do something for you, I certainly won't refuse. Chen Yang smiled and said. Upon hearing this, Wen Jai looked at Chen Yang with a look of satisfaction. Chen Yang, you are an exceptionally talented child. It's Xiaoya's good fortune to be with you. We're family, so let's not be formal. If you ever have any difficulties in the future, just let me know. Chapter 261, Accompanying Father-in-Law Fishing, a big shot Zheng Tiancheng. After this incident, Wen Jai truly regarded Chen Yang as her son-in-law from the bottom of her heart. Chen Yang smiled without saying a word. He then voluntarily left the room, took all the medicinal herbs into the kitchen, poured them into a large pot, and added an appropriate amount of water to boil them. When Chen Yang returned to the living room, Wen Jai had already changed her clothes and was sitting on the sofa. This moment, Yi Zhenghua, Wen Jai, and Yi Qingya all cast curious glances at Chen Yang. Auntie, I've boiled some medicinal herbs in the kitchen. Once the decoction is ready, soak your feet in it for 20 minutes each morning and evening. I suppose your illness won't recur. Chen Yang stepped forward and spoke first. Wen Jai smiled and said politely, Chen Yang, thank you for your hard work. It's my honor to treat Aunt Wen. How could it be considered hardship? Chen Yang shook his head slightly and smiled. Half an hour later, the medicine has been successfully prepared. Chen Yang poured the medicine into a bucket, then carried it from the kitchen to the living room and placed it there. Then he said to Yi Qingya, Wife, after the medicine has cooled down a bit, have Aunt Wen soak it for 20 minutes. Okay, no problem. Yi Qingya nodded and readily agreed. It's getting late, I'm going to the kitchen to cook. I'm leaving this place to you. After saying that, Chen Yang turned and went into the kitchen to get busy. Host detected cooking. Knife skills proficiency plus 500. Culinary skills proficiency plus 500. Advanced knife skills, 9001-0000. Advanced culinary skills, 9001-0000. More than an hour later, simple home-style dishes are freshly prepared under Chen Yang's superb culinary skills. Although it's called home-style cooking, the dishes are in no way inferior to those prepared by chefs in 5-star hotels, both in terms of appearance and taste. Just then, Yi Qingya walked into the kitchen, opened her arms and hugged Chen Yang's waist from behind, leaning her whole body against his back. Honey, I really owe you so much for today. Otherwise, I wouldn't have known that my dad and mom had these health problems. Yi Qingya looked sentimental. Fortunately, Chen Yang was proficient in traditional Chinese medicine and knew the diagnostic skills of observation, auscultation, inquiry, and palpation. Otherwise, Yi Qingya would probably still be kept in the dark by her parents. Wife, we're family, so we don't need to stand on ceremony. After all, I'm not a medical student with formal training. All my medical skills are self-taught. If it were someone else, they definitely wouldn't trust me to treat them. If my uncle and aunt hadn't believed in me, even if I had extraordinary abilities, I wouldn't have been able to use them at all. Chen Yang turned to look at Yi Qingya, a faint smile appearing on his lips, and said, That's true, but you did cure my parents' illnesses after all. Honey, you're amazing. You're my idol. This moment, Yi Qingya's admiration for Chen Yang reached its peak. It's not as exaggerated as you say. Hurry up and take the food out, it's time to eat. Chen Yang smiled calmly, not considering this a success at all and not demanding anything in return from the Yi family. From the moment Yi Zhenghua and Wen Jai agreed to his relationship with Yi Qingye and promised to let them get engaged. In Chen Yang's heart, he already regarded Yi Zhenghua and Wen Jai as family. In Chen Yang's view, helping his family solve their problems within his own capabilities is simply a matter of duty. He believed that if he were in trouble today, the Yi family would certainly not stand idly by and do nothing. Instead, they will use all resources and strength to help themselves solve the problem. Seeing Chen Yang's nonchalant attitude, Yi Qingye felt even more grateful to him. He truly is the man I chose. Even though he is so outstanding, he never boasts or acts arrogantly and always maintains a humble heart. Low-key, but with a broad perspective. A man like that is a treasure. Yi Qingye secretly vowed that no matter what happened in the future, she would face it together with Chen Yang and bravely move forward. After expressing her feelings, Yi Qingye helped bring the dishes to the table. Not long after, everyone sat around the dining table and began to enjoy their meal. For Yi Zhenghua and Wen Jai, it had been a while since they had eaten a meal cooked by Chen Yang himself. Therefore, they could clearly feel that Chen Yang's cooking skills seemed to have improved a lot. The food tasted even better than they had ever eaten before. In addition, Chen Yang had just demonstrated his massage skills, his ability to diagnose illnesses through observation, listening, questioning, and palpation, as well as his skills in acupuncture and medicinal bath treatments. The way Yi Zhenghua and Wen Jai looked at Chen Yang was impeccable. It's like finding a treasure. They were already genuinely satisfied with Chen Yang as their son-in-law. Afternoon, Yi Zhenghua had nothing to do and happened to see the carbon fiber fishing rod that Chen Yang had given him. So with a smile, he asked Chen Yang, "Chen Yang, do you know how to fish? I know a really good spot. How about we go cast a line together later? I used to fish in my hometown, but it was in a small pond, so my skills probably weren't that great. Since Uncle Yi has personally spoken, I will certainly accompany him to the end." Faced with Yi Zhenghua's invitation, Chen Yang readily agreed without hesitation. "Okay, let's get ready. We'll be leaving in a bit." Yi Zhenghua's greatest hobby during his holidays is fishing in the wild, and one fishing session can last all afternoon. Fortunately, he has regular partners, so he doesn't seem bored. After saying hello to Wen Jai and Yi Qingye, Chen Yang helped carry the fishing rods, tackle boxes, nets, and other tools, and then headed towards the fishing spot Yi Zhenghua had mentioned. More than an hour later, the car arrived at a reservoir in the suburbs. Chen Yang opened the car door and got out one after the other with Yi Zhenghua. Then, from the trunk, he took out the fishing rod and all the fishing gear he needed. The two walked a short distance ahead and found that people were already fishing at the fishing spot. "Old Zheng, why are you here so early today?" Yi Zhenghua walked over to a middle-aged man of similar age who looked like a seasoned fisherman. He clearly knew the other person. Judging from how they addressed each other, they were quite familiar with each other, and their relationship was quite unusual. "Old Yi, what a rare guest. You're such a busy person, yet you still have time to go fishing in this desolate wilderness." The man Yi Zhenghua called Old Zheng was actually named Zheng Tiancheng, and he came from the Zheng family in Kyoto. He currently holds an important position in the State-Owned Assets Supervision and Administration Commission of Shanghai, and is in a high-ranking position. The two had known each other for many years and had a deep friendship. Since we share common interests, we interact quite frequently in private. "You know my job. Although it's busy, I can always find time if I'm willing to squeeze it in. After all, work is work, but you still need to have your own life in your private time." Yi Zhenghua smiled gently. Chapter 262, Wild Fishing Skill Upgraded to Beginner Level. Then he changed the subject. "It's been a while since we went fishing together. Since I have some free time today, I'd like to introduce you to someone." Upon hearing Yi Zhenghua's words, a hint of curiosity flashed in Zheng Tiancheng's eyes. He had known Yi Zhenghua for so many years, but this was the first time he had ever met someone who would take the initiative to act as a go-between. "Old Yi, we've known each other for many years. You should know my style of doing things very well. You wouldn't let me make a mistake that violates principles, would you?" Zheng Tiancheng remained secretly vigilant, while also giving Yi Zhenghua a heads-up beforehand. "Old Zheng, what kind of person do you take me for? Don't think I'm trying to get in through connections, do you?" Upon hearing this, Yi Zhenghua immediately understood the subtext in Zheng Tiancheng's words. Immediately, his face hardened, and he said with some dissatisfaction, "Isn't that so?" Zhang Tiancheng looked puzzled and blurted out the answer instinctively. "You're overthinking it. We've known each other for so many years, don't you know my personality? I could never do something that crosses the line of principles, let alone drag you down with me." Yi Zhenghua shook his head and gave his old friend a reproachful look. Before Zhang Tiancheng could ask, Yi Zhenghua turned around, waved to Chen Yang behind him, and called out, "Chen Yang, come over here." Upon hearing this, Chen Yang immediately jogged over to Yi Zhenghua. "Let me introduce you. This is my longtime friend, Zhang Tiancheng, who currently holds an important position in the State-Owned Assets Supervision and Administration Commission of Shanghai. Old Zheng, this young man is named Chen Yang. He is a senior student in the finance department of Shanghai University and is an alumnus of my daughter Yi Qingya's school. Of course, he also has another identity. That is, he is my son-in-law, Yi Zhenghua." Yi Zhenghua smiled slightly and introduced the two to each other. "Old Yi, you're not kidding, are you? Is this young man really your son-in-law?" Upon learning Chen Yang's identity, Zhang Tiancheng's expression immediately turned to surprise. The next moment he couldn't help but ask, "Certainly. Chen Yang is the man my daughter personally chose. He looks young, but he is very outstanding. So both her mother and I agree to them being together. In name only, Chen Yang and I are already family. Introducing him to you is just to broaden his horizons and give him some experience. There is absolutely no other intention." Yi Zhenghua's lips curled up, revealing a clear smile. It was clear that his words and expression were full of pride when he introduced Chen Yang's identity. This scene, Zhang Tiancheng naturally noticed this. Zhang Tiancheng had known Yi Zhenghua for many years, and it was because of this that he knew how discerning Yi Zhenghua was. Chen Yang's ability and character are undoubtedly outstanding, which is why he was able to gain his approval. Otherwise, Yi Zhenghua would never have introduced Chen Yang to him. Zhang Tiancheng was well aware of this principle. "Hello, Uncle Zheng." After listening to Yi Zhenghua's introduction, Chen Yang immediately greeted Zhang Tiancheng obediently. Given his important position in the State-Owned Assets Supervision and Administration Commission, Zhang Tiancheng must wield considerable power, and the influence behind him must be considerable. Yi Zhenghua deliberately introduced Chen Yang to Zhang Tiancheng, which was undoubtedly an attempt to pave the way for him. Of course, there's no rush for this right now. It's just a move I casually made in my spare time, but it might come in handy sometime later. "Hello." Zhang Tiancheng nodded to Chen Yang, but his gaze quietly fell on him, scrutinizing him carefully. Judging by his appearance alone, the young man is handsome and has a good-looking face, which is indeed the type that young girls especially like. But Zhang Tiancheng's intuition told him that Chen Yang's ability to gain the favor of Yi Zhenghua and his wife could not be solely due to his appearance. However, since it was their first meeting, Zhang Tiancheng didn't feel comfortable asking too many questions. "Uncle Yi, where would you like to fish? I'll prepare the fishing rod and bait for you." Chen Yang withdrew his gaze and then asked Yi Zhenghua. "It's right next to Lao Zheng. It's been a while since we last met, so we can chat while we fish." Yi Zhenghua thought for a moment before slowly speaking. "Okay." Chen Yang nodded. They immediately took action. It took about 10 minutes to finish the job, and then I adjusted the fishing rod, fishing line, and float and handed them to Yi Zhenghua. "Uncle Yi, here you go." After doing all that, Chen Yang moved to the side. After doing the same thing, he gripped the fishing rod with both hands and flicked it with a skillful motion. The fishing hook was cast into the water more than 10 meters away, and then he sat on the fish box with a relaxed expression. Host detected fishing in the wild. Wild fishing skill proficiency plus 1000. Wild fishing skills upgraded to beginner level. Beginner wild fishing 05000. However, at that moment, a virtual light screen suddenly appeared in front of Chen Yang, and at the same time, a system notification sounded in his ear. The next moment, his mind felt swollen, and a surge of memories as powerful as the sea welled up inside him. It includes techniques for maximizing power when fishing in the wild, recipes for top-quality bait, how to choose a fishing spot, how to bait the area, and the habits and characteristics of various fish species, etc. All of it was absorbed and digested by Chen Yang's brain, and ultimately transformed into his own skills. In just over 10 seconds, Chen Yang went from a fishing novice to a fishing expert, gaining a lot of experience out of nowhere. Then, Chen Yang immediately prepared the bait and began to bait the area. A few minutes later, the fishing float made a sound. Whoosh! Seeing this, Chen Yang gripped the fishing rod tightly with both hands and pulled it upwards with force. The fish took the bait immediately. On the other side, Yi Zhenghua, who was having a great chat with Zheng Tiancheng, suddenly caught a glimpse of Chen Yang's movements out of the corner of his eye and immediately realized that Chen Yang had been hooked. Immediately, he said with a look of surprise, "Good heavens, it hasn't been long and Chen Yang has already caught a fish. This efficiency is amazing." Zheng Tiancheng also looked surprised. Keep in mind that he arrived almost 20 minutes earlier than Chen Yang. "I've been fishing for so long and haven't seen a single fish. But Chen Yang caught a fish just a few minutes after casting his bait. Judging by its appearance, this fish is quite heavy." To be honest, Zheng Tiancheng was actually a little envious. Maybe it was just luck. After all, newbies have a protection period. Zheng Tiancheng said with a smile. Chen Yang was completely unaware of this. His attention was entirely focused on the fishing hook. Using the wild fishing skills he had just acquired, he easily caught the fish and brought it to the shore in a few moments, then scooped it up with a fishing net. It was a grass carp weighing nearly 10 kilograms, large and plump. Host detected fishing in the wild. Successfully caught a grass carp, wild fishing proficiency plus 200. Beginner wild fishing, 205,000. Chen Yang, you're pretty good. You caught a fish so quickly. Looks like your fishing skills are really good. Yi Zhenghua walked over and upon seeing Chen Yang's harvest, couldn't help but reveal a hint of envy in his eyes. Chapter 263, The bait has a miraculous effect. Maybe it was just luck. After all, newbies have a protection period. Zheng Tiancheng said with a smile. Chen Yang was completely unaware of this. His attention was entirely focused on the fishing hook. Using the wild fishing skills he had just acquired, he easily caught the fish and brought it to the shore in a few moments, then scooped it up with a fishing net. It was a grass carp weighing nearly 10 kilograms, large and plump. Host detected fishing in the wild. Successfully caught a grass carp, wild fishing proficiency plus 200. Beginner wild fishing, 205,000. Chen Yang, you're pretty good. You caught a fish so quickly. Looks like your fishing skills are really good. Yi Zhenghua walked over and upon seeing Chen Yang's harvest, couldn't help but reveal a hint of envy in his eyes. After all, as a seasoned angler, I have a natural obsession with catching fish. Uncle Yi, you flatter me. Perhaps I was just lucky. Chen Yang smiled modestly and replied, "Luck is sometimes a part of ability. Looks like I'll have to show my true skills later, or I'm sure I'll be outdone by you." After saying that, Yi Zhenghua then turned around and returned to his seat, his expression gradually becoming serious. Zheng Tiancheng was also secretly competing with him. However, another 10 minutes passed in the blink of an eye. They still haven't made a move, but Chen Yang's side reaped another bountiful harvest. This time he caught a large crucian carp weighing 4 or 5 pounds. Not long after casting the bait, he caught another bighead carp weighing over 10 kilograms. Host detected fishing in the wild. Successfully caught a large crucian carp, wild fishing proficiency plus 200. Host detected fishing in the wild. Successfully caught a silver carp and bighead carp, wild fishing proficiency plus 200. Beginner wild fishing, 605,000. Seeing Chen Yang's continuous harvest, Yi Zhenghua and Zheng Tiancheng were extremely envious. Unable to contain himself, Zheng Tiancheng appeared silently beside Chen Yang and asked, "Chen Yang, how exactly did you manage to catch fish one after another? Is there some trick to it? Could you share it with me?" Chen Yang turned his head, and only then did he realize that Zheng Tiancheng was standing in front of him. He smiled faintly, and then pointed to the prepared fish bait in the basin. "Uncle Zheng, to be honest, my fishing skills are just average, probably not as good as yours or Uncle Yi's. However, I have a unique, secret recipe bait. Maybe this is the secret to my fishing." Upon hearing this, following the direction Chen Yang pointed, Zheng Tiancheng's gaze quickly fell on the bait in the basin. He crouched down, then grabbed a handful of bait and sniffed it gently. This bait has a unique and indescribable aroma. It's completely different from the bait I make myself. Chen Yang, give me some of this bait so I can try fishing and see if it really has such a noticeable effect. "How?" Zheng Tiancheng smiled kindly and said to Chen Yang, "Of course, Uncle Zheng can take as much as he wants." Chen Yang agreed without hesitation. Zheng Tiancheng was overjoyed. After taking some of the bait, he immediately returned to his position. The bait is put on the hook, and then it is cast into the lake. 3 to 5 minutes later, the fishing float suddenly sank and disappeared on the surface of the lake. Seeing this, Zheng Tiancheng grabbed the fishing rod with both hands and pulled it up suddenly. The fish has taken the bait. Hey, I didn't expect the bait Chen Yang gave me to actually work. It hasn't been long, and the fish are already attracted. Zheng Tiancheng was secretly delighted. After several minutes of tug-of-war and negotiation, in the end, Zheng Tiancheng caught a grass carp weighing nearly 10 pounds. After seeing this scene, Yi Zhenghua could no longer sit still. After all this time, he's still empty-handed. Old Zheng, did you get this bait from Chen Yang? Get me some right now. Without waiting for Zheng Tiancheng's reply, Yi Zhenghua took more than half of it. Then he changed the bait with his own fishing rod and cast it back into the lake. It's strange. The fishing hook was cast back into the water, and within 2 or 3 minutes, the float began to sway continuously. Anyone with a discerning eye can tell that there are likely fish biting the bait underwater. This scene made Yi Zhenghua's eyes narrow, and his expression became extremely serious. Nearly another minute and a half passed. Whoosh! The fishing float sank directly into the water. Seeing this, Yi Zhenghua pulled hard on his fishing rod. The fish has taken the bait, but this does not mean the end. The fish that took the bait wasn't going to take it lying down. It started darting around frantically, desperately swimming deeper into the water. Yi Zhenghua felt a tremendous force pulling him into the water as he held the fishing rod. This fish is really strong. Based on my experience, it probably won't be less than 15 jin. Looks like I've really caught a big one this time. Yi Zhenghua looked at the situation on the water with an extremely excited expression. Old Yi, be careful, don't get dragged into the water by the fish. The water here is very deep and extremely cold. If you were to fall in, you would likely be in mortal danger. It's just a fish, we don't need to bother with it. When Zheng Tiancheng saw Yi Zhenghua struggling with the fish, a look of worry appeared on his face. After all, Yi Zhenghua's identity is extraordinary. If we were to encounter any danger here for the sake of a mere fish, it would truly be a loss that doesn't outweigh the gain. Are you kidding me? I, Yi Zhenghua, have been a veteran in the fishing world for many years. I've seen all kinds of storms. Watch how I use my fishing skills to easily catch it. Upon hearing Zheng Tiancheng's words, Yi Zhenghua immediately became anxious. Having finally caught a big fish and broken through the current situation of the Air Force, how could he give up so easily? Then, Yi Zhenghua squatted down in a horse stance, combining his waist and stance, and used all his strength to fight against the big fish in the water. They pulled for almost 5 minutes, but the fish didn't come close to the shore. In contrast, Yi Zhenghua's face was flushed, and his arms were sore and weak, making him look like he was about to collapse from exhaustion. Just then, Chen Yang put down his fishing rod, ran over quickly, and whispered to Yi Zhenghua, "Uncle Yi, why don't you rest for a while? I'll help you catch the fish." Yi Zhenghua initially wanted to refuse. After all, he didn't want to lose face in front of the younger generation. But just as he hesitated, the big fish in the water seemed to sense that Yi Zhenghua was exhausted. So it charged forward like a madman. The immense pulling force caught Yi Zhenghua off guard, and his entire body lurched forward. Old Yi! Upon seeing this, Zheng Tiancheng's face turned deathly pale, and he instinctively cried out in alarm. Yi Zhenghua was also stunned by this sudden change, so much so that his body couldn't react at all. By the time he came to his senses and tried to regain his balance, it was too late. Yi Zhenghua felt deeply remorseful for his carelessness. Chapter 264, Master-Level Knife Skills. Master-Level Culinary Skills, rewarded with 3 divine recipes. Upon hearing this, Zheng Tiancheng couldn't help but click his tongue in amazement. Goodness, are all young people these days so Versailles-like? You call this smooth, artistic tea ceremony just superficial. What about the tea ceremony that he studied for so long, but still couldn't get the hang of? Did you learn something that went to the dog's belly? For a moment, Zheng Tiancheng was both angry and amused. Old Zheng, how is my son-in-law's tea ceremony? Doesn't it look incredibly stylish? Yi Zhenghua's lips curled up slightly, revealing a smug smile. He does have some skill. At least they're better than me. Even Zheng Tiancheng had to admit that Chen Yang had shown remarkable talent in tea ceremony. Laymen watch the spectacle, experts watch the details. Zheng Tiancheng had also spent time studying it seriously, so he knew in his heart that even to get started with tea art, one needed to spend a lot of time studying it. Chen Yang is so young, he probably doesn't have much patience to learn, but he was still able to achieve this level. And apart from his amazing talent, Zheng Tiancheng really couldn't find any other reason to explain it. Uncle Zheng, you flatter me. I'm just learning casually, it's hardly something I'd call a proper scholar. Chen Yang said modestly. Zheng Tiancheng shook his head and said seriously, Chen Yang, you don't need to underestimate yourself. Although you are young, you are quick-witted and have an excellent learning ability. This is evident from the fact that you have mastered so many talents. Compared to people your age, you are simply outstanding. Chen Yang was stunned, clearly not expecting Zheng Tiancheng to have such a high opinion of him. After a moment, a smile appeared on his face. Uncle Zheng, thank you for your recognition. Yi Zhenghua and Wen Jai, a married couple, were filled with pride when they saw Zheng Tiancheng praising Chen Yang so highly. Soon, Yang Li and his men delivered the big fish to the Yi family. Chen Yang got up and walked towards the kitchen, then tied on an apron and sharpened his knife, preparing to cook a whole fish feast for tonight. Yi Qingye arrived in the kitchen at some point and was overjoyed to see such a large fish. Honey, this fish is huge. Did you catch it? Chen Yang nodded, then shook his head. This big fish bit your dad's hook. It struggled with your dad for a long time and almost made your dad fall headfirst into the water. Luckily, I reacted quickly and grabbed your dad's arm at the crucial moment. Otherwise, the consequences would have been unimaginable. In the end, I used my superb fish-playing skills to tug this big fish ashore. Upon hearing this, Yi Qingye's eyes widened immediately. What, this big fish is that powerful? Isn't my dad a seasoned angler? How could he not catch a single fish? Chen Yang smiled and offered an explanation. Even the best of us can make a mistake. Your dad probably let his guard down, which gave this big fish an opportunity to take advantage of him. However, no matter what, it will eventually be caught and become a meal. I'm planning to use it to make a whole fish feast. The process of killing the fish is quite bloody, so you should just sit outside and wait until it's ready before I call you. After listening, Yi Qingye nodded obediently. Okay, I'll listen to you. Soon, Chen Yang displayed his superb knife skills, like a master butcher dissecting a fish, and dissected the large fish piece by piece. Separate the fish head, bones, and meat. The whole process was smooth and seamless. After that, various seasonings were prepared. Oil was heated in a wok, and cooking began immediately. The host is detected to be preparing a whole fish feast, with the scale and difficulty upgraded. Knife skills proficiency critical hit rate doubled plus 1000. Cooking skills proficiency critical hit rate doubled plus 1000. The knife skills have been upgraded from advanced to master level. Cooking skills have been upgraded from advanced to master level. Congratulations, host. You have obtained 3 random god-level recipes. Just then, a virtual light screen suddenly appeared in front of Chen Yang, and at the same time, a system notification sounded in his ear. The next moment, a flood of memories surged through his mind. Various lost recipes and cooking techniques, as well as the control of heat in the preparation of major cuisines, all flashed through Chen Yang's mind. Ultimately, it was absorbed and digested by him, and then transformed into his own abilities. Master-level knife skills and culinary expertise have given Chen Yang a deeper understanding and appreciation of cooking. They even glimpsed a glimpse into the potential of God-like culinary skills. System, now begin randomly generating those 3 god-level recipes. Chen Yang immediately recited it silently in his heart. As the host wishes, a flash of golden light, a virtual light screen popped up again in Chen Yang's eyes, and a system notification sounded in his ear. Congratulations, host. You have obtained god-level fried rice, god-level kung pao chicken, and god-level braised dishes. Soon, the recipes for these 3 divine dishes immediately came to Chen Yang's mind, from ingredients to hot pot mastery, and even the smallest details of flavor. Hard work pays off. My cooking and knife skills have both reached the master level, and the system even rewarded me with 3 divine dishes. I've really hit the jackpot. I don't know how I'll upgrade my master-level skills to god-level. Chen Yang thought to himself, if the host wishes to upgrade their skills to the god level, they must first activate the reputation function. 10,000 reputation points can upgrade the host's master-level skill to god level. The system notified me. Chen Yang couldn't help but ask curiously, System, how do I activate the reputation function? And how do I obtain reputation points? The system says, you have a considerable reputation and status in various industries and even in society. Then, the system will calculate your reputation value based on your influence. You mean my influence in various industries and my reputation in society are all related to the accumulation of my prestige points? That's right. The system aims to mold the host into an all-around king in every industry, possessing immense power and endless wealth. In other words, it aims to give the host great fame and social status. And this is closely related to the host's reputation value. Until this moment, Chen Yang finally understood that he was growing step by step according to the system's plan, and then becoming a capitalist and a powerful figure. Everything forms a perfect closed loop. Host has taken the first step in a long journey. Keep up the good work and reach the summit soon. The system encouraged Chen Yang. Don't worry, I will definitely not let you down. Chen Yang shut down the system. The movements of his hands were not slow at all. On the contrary, they were much faster. An hour and a half later, the whole fish feast is ready. Chen Yang placed the plate on the dining table, and Yi Qingye immediately came over to help. Before long, everyone was sitting around the dining table, looking at the sumptuous feast before them, a feast that looked and smelled delicious. Everyone's faces were filled with shock. Uncle Yi, Aunt Wen, Uncle Zhang, Qingye. This is a whole fish feast I made with that big fish. Absolutely fresh and delicious. You all should try some. Chen Yang smiled faintly and addressed the crowd. Chapter 265, comparable to a top-tier chef at a state banquet, staying overnight at the Yi family's residence. No one even needed to taste it. Just by looking at the dish's appearance and smelling the rich aroma of fish in the air, everyone knew that it would taste absolutely amazing. However, as the old saying goes, whether a dish is good or not cannot be judged solely by its appearance. Ultimately, one must taste it to draw a conclusion. With this thought in mind, Yi Zhenghua looked at Zheng Tiancheng and said, "Old Zheng, don't just stand there. Quickly pick up your chopsticks and try it." After saying that, Yi Zhenghua picked up a piece of braised fish and started eating. The fish is fresh, tender, and melts in your mouth. This tastes even better than Yi Zhenghua had imagined. The reason is simple. Chen Yang's culinary skills have reached the master level. Looking at the culinary world, he has almost reached the level of a top-level chef for state banquets. In addition, the fish was just caught from the reservoir, killed and cooked on the spot, so the taste was exceptionally fresh. It's no wonder it's so delicious. Zheng Tiancheng picked up a piece of steamed fish and put it in his mouth to eat. The next second, his eyes widened instantly, and his face was filled with shock. So tender, such a delicious flavor. It tastes more than 10 times better than any fish I've ever eaten before. Wen Jai and her daughter Yi Qingye then sampled several other fish dishes and fish soups. Everyone was amazed by Chen Yang's culinary skills, which were truly superb. A whole fish feast completely won over everyone's taste buds. Yi Zhenghua and Zheng Tiancheng didn't even have time to drink 2 cups before they turned into lazy bums, burying their heads in their work and showing off. Chen Yang took a few bites. He had to admit that, although there is only one level difference between master level and advanced culinary skills. However, the taste of the dishes made is vastly different. No wonder Yi Zhenghua, Zheng Tiancheng, and the others ate with gusto, disregarding their image. The table full of fish was eventually devoured by everyone. Old Yi, you really weren't lying to me. Chen Yang's cooking skills are definitely no less than those of a 5-star hotel chef. No, in my opinion, his culinary skills have reached the level of a top-level chef for state banquets. Zheng Tiancheng said with a serious expression. Who can argue with that? Ever since I ate Chen Yang's cooking, the food prepared by the chefs in our company cafeteria has lost its flavor. Especially today's whole fish feast, it was a real treat for my taste buds. The fish was plump and tender, but Chen Yang's cooking skills were even more superb. That's why we were able to enjoy such a delicious meal. Yi Zhenghua spared no praise, showering her with compliments. Chen Yang, your cooking is amazing. Could you teach me sometime when you have time? Wen Jai glanced at Chen Yang and said with a light laugh, Of course, no problem. As long as Aunt Wen wants to learn, I will definitely teach her carefully and make sure she learns it. Chen Yang replied with a faint smile. Honey, you're amazing. I'm so proud of you. Yi Qingye immediately grasped Chen Yang's hand, her face revealing excitement and joy. She knew better than anyone that the dishes Chen Yang had made before were already delicious. But tonight's whole fish feast is a qualitative leap compared to before. This means that Chen Yang's cooking skills have improved again. Such terrifying talent is simply astonishing. That's why Yi Qingye was genuinely happy for Chen Yang. After the meal, Zheng Tiancheng drank a few cups of tea and then got up to say goodbye. Before leaving, he made a point of exchanging phone numbers with Chen Yang and told him to keep in touch when he had time. Chen Yang readily agreed. Chen Yang, Zairoya, why don't you two stay at home tonight instead of going back? Anyway, we have everything at home. I'll also get you a brand new set of toiletries and pajamas. Wen Jai checked the time. Then he spoke to Chen Yang and Yi Qingye. Aunt Wen, this isn't quite right. It's understandable that Zairoya is staying at home. but it doesn't seem very convenient for me to go along too. Besides, Captain Yang and the others are still outside. It wouldn't be troublesome for me to ask him to take me back. A look of shock appeared on Chen Yang's face. Clearly, he never expected Wen Jai to say those words. Hey, you can't say that. Chen Yang, you and Xiao, you are already engaged. So you are our Yi family's son-in-law. It's perfectly legitimate for you to live in our home. Could it be that you think your house is too small, and that you're being mistreated living here? Wen Jai looked at Chen Yang with a serious expression and said, No, Aunt Wen, that's not what I meant. Since Aunt Wen has said so, I will listen to you. Chen Yang was so frightened that he broke out in a cold sweat. Immediately, he dared not speak recklessly again, and obeyed Wen Jai's arrangements. That's right. You two go take a shower and change your clothes, then get some rest. Wen Jai waved to Chen Yang and her daughter. Upon hearing this, Chen Yang didn't hesitate and strode towards Yi Qingya's boudoir. Yi Qingya quickly followed behind. Seeing the two young people looking so nervous, Wen Jai's smile grew even brighter. Old Yi, it's all thanks to our daughter's good judgment. She saw Chen Yang as a promising talent at a glance. Not only is his career thriving, but he is also outstanding in other talents. She can be elegant in public and skilled in the kitchen. Such an outstanding young man has become the son-in-law of the Yi family. If outsiders knew Chen Yang's true abilities, who knows how many people would want to take advantage of him? Upon hearing this, Yi Zhenghua nodded. That's absolutely right. Perhaps this is fate between Xiao Oya and Chen Yang. With Chen Yang protecting her from now on, Xiao Oya will definitely live a very happy life. As her parents, we can finally rest assured. Inside the room, Chen Yang sat in the chair in front of his desk, listening to the pattering water from the bathroom, and felt inexplicably hot inside. Heavenly Bodhisattva, could this be considered a different kind of test for me? If I lack self-control, I might lose my temper in this situation and then pounce on Qingya and do something bad. Isn't this deliberately tempting me to commit a crime? It was at this moment. Click. Yi Qingya pushed open the bathroom door. Yi Qingya was wearing a pink nightgown that tightly covered her graceful figure. Even so, one can still vaguely see her magnificent size and her flawless, milky skin, as white as a newborn baby. Her long hair fell naturally over her shoulders, and her face was flushed pink from the hot water. It added a touch of sexiness and charm to her out of nowhere. Honey, I'm done showering. You can go shower now. On the bathroom shelf, I have a brand new towel and a new set of pajamas. After you take a shower, put on your pajamas. As for the old clothes, just put them in the basket, and I'll wash them for you tomorrow. Yi Qingya looked at Chen Yang with her beautiful eyes and said with a smile, Good. Chen Yang nodded. Then he went into the bathroom to take a shower. About 20 minutes later, Chen Yang emerged from the bathroom. At this moment, he saw Yi Qingya sitting in front of the dressing table, holding a hairdryer and drying her hair in front of the mirror. Laziness and comfort, two different feelings, appeared almost simultaneously in Yi Qingya. It made Chen Yang's heart flutter. Chapter 266. Anything produced by Chen Yang is guaranteed to be a masterpiece. A moment later, Chen Yang walked up behind Yi Qingya, took her hand that was holding the hairdryer and said softly, Honey, let me help you. Thank you, honey. Yi Qingya smiled sweetly, then sat quietly in front of the dressing table, letting Chen Yang do her hair. Chen Yang lifted Yi Qingya's long, straight black hair with one hand and held a hairdryer in the other, his movements skillful and elegant. It looks very professional at first glance. Within minutes, Yi Qingya's hair was styled. She turned around and placed her hands on Chen Yang's neck. The next second, she stood on tiptoe and offered him a sweet kiss. Honey, I've just realized how incredibly talented you are. You seem to know everything. I feel especially at ease when you're around. Honey, let's be together forever, okay? Faced with Yi Qingya's heartfelt confession, Chen Yang felt a warmth in his heart. He nodded, his eyes filled with sincerity, and said, Wife, don't worry, we will always be together. I assure you, no one can separate us. The next morning at 7 o'clock, Chen Yang woke up in bed and saw that Yi Qingya was still sleeping soundly. He quietly got up and went into the bathroom to wash up. Then he took out his phone and sent a text message to Captain Yang, asking him to bring over a set of casual clothes from home. Shortly after, Team Leader Yang replied, Okay, Mr. Chen. After leaving his room, Chen Yang went to the living room and saw that Yi Zhenghua and Wen Jai's father had not yet gotten up, so he went straight to the kitchen. He opened the cabinet above the kitchen and found a large bag of flour, along with a small packet of cornstarch and various seasonings. Once your cooking skills reach the master level, Simply grinding for proficiency will no longer be effective. Instead of doing that, we should spend more time improving other skills. Fortunately, my pastry-making skills are still at a relatively low level, so they're perfect for making breakfast. With that in mind, Chen Yang took the flour off the table, then tied on an apron, preparing to knead the dough and make some steamed buns and dumplings. Host detected kneading dough. Pastry skills proficiency plus 200. Beginner-level pastry-making skills, 400-500. Time flies and it's already 7:30. The door to the master bedroom opened, and Wen Jai walked from inside the room into the living room. Suddenly, she heard a noise coming from the kitchen, so she went over out of curiosity and saw Chen Yang busy at work. Chen Yang, isn't it the weekend? Why don't you sleep in a little longer? Why did you get up so early to make breakfast for us? Wen Jai looked surprised and said to Chen Yang, Aunt Wen, I'm used to getting up early, and I usually go out for morning exercise. But it's not convenient to go out in these pajamas. Since I'm just sitting at home doing nothing anyway, I might as well make you some breakfast. I saw flour in the cupboard and meat and vegetables in the refrigerator, so I decided to make some steamed buns and dumplings. Chen Yang turned around and found Wen Jai looking at him with a surprised expression, so he smiled and explained. Good child, you've worked hard. Wen Jai couldn't help but say, No, these are all light jobs, they're not tiring. Besides, Uncle Yi and you both really enjoy the food I make, don't you? Since I have some free time, I'll cook a little more to improve your meals, Uncle Yi and Aunties. Chen Yang smiled faintly and said, As the steamed buns and dumplings were cooked, they emitted a fragrant aroma. Wen Jai immediately went to the room and woke up Yi Zhenghua and his daughter Yi Qingye. Madam, it's the weekend. Can't you let me rest a little longer? Anyway, nothing much happened this morning. Yi Zhenghua walked up to Wen Jai and said with some helplessness, The sun's already high in the sky. You've slept enough. Chen Yang got up very early this morning and even made steamed buns and dumplings. You two are quite something, father and daughter. When I call you to get up for breakfast, you're still so unwilling. In that case, you can go back to sleep. I'll enjoy these steamed buns and dumplings for you. Wen Jai crossed her arms and glared at her husband with annoyance. Then he said with some dissatisfaction, What? Chen Yang made steamed buns and dumplings? Where? Upon hearing that Chen Yang had personally prepared breakfast, including steamed buns and dumplings, everyone was overjoyed. Yi Zhenghua's eyes widened immediately, filled with surprise. With Chen Yang's superb culinary skills, Yi Zhenghua couldn't even imagine how delicious his steamed buns and dumplings would be. Look, it's freshly steamed, still piping hot. Wen Jai pointed towards the dining table. On the dining table were 2 plates. One plate contains steamed buns, and the other contains dumplings. Then I'll have to try them carefully and see if Chen Yang's skills in making steamed buns and dumplings are as good as his cooking skills. As soon as Yi Zhenghua finished speaking, he immediately walked towards the dining table. Dad, Chen Yang specially made me some pastries and plum juice before, and they tasted really good. Therefore, the steamed buns and dumplings he makes are not much different in taste. Upon hearing this, Yi Qingye quickly spoke up in defense. In my experience, cooking and pastry making are 2 completely different fields. A person who can cook a main dish may not be able to make steamed buns and dumplings. Whether it tastes good or not, you have to try it yourself to know. However, Chen Yang is exceptionally talented, and he might surprise us. Yi Zhenghua smiled slightly, then walked to the dining table, pulled out a chair, and sat down. Then he picked up a steamed bun and examined it closely. The buns were about half the size of a palm, and the fermentation was perfect. Their surface was smooth and delicate, and their whiteness was as white as snow, making them very appetizing. Immediately, Yi Zhenghua opened his mouth and took a bite. The steamed buns have a soft and chewy texture and a sweet aroma. The pork filling and sauce flavors blend perfectly, but it's not too salty. One bite and your taste buds are practically dancing wildly. It's so delicious, it'll blow your mind. Delicious, it's so tasty. These steamed buns are simply amazing. After tasting the delicious steamed buns, Yi Zhenghua couldn't help but give a thumbs up and praise them lavishly. Really? Then I'll have one too. After saying that, Yi Qingye also picked up a steamed bun and started eating it in big bites. As she chewed on the flour and meat filling, an indescribable deliciousness surged through her, instantly making Yi Qingye's eyes widen and her expression become incredibly exaggerated. These steamed buns are so delicious. It tastes just as good as the dim sum made by Cantonese dim sum chefs. Mom, you have to try it, it's really delicious. Hearing this, Wen Jai couldn't help but try it out of curiosity. Just one bite. She was completely captivated by the taste of the steamed buns. As expected, anything produced by Chen Yang is bound to be of high quality. The texture and taste of these buns are definitely up to a certain standard. At least, it's no less skilled than the professional pastry chefs at local tea restaurants. Just then, Chen Yang then came out carrying steamed buns and dumplings. He smiled faintly, his tone slightly inquiring. "Uncle Yi, Aunt Wen, King Ye, how is it? Do you think the steamed buns taste good?" Chapter 267, Calligraphic Talent, Forming Its Own Style. Delicious, the taste and texture are amazing. Chen Yang, your talent is truly extraordinary. No matter what industry you're in, you can always shine and easily achieve what ordinary people cannot. Yi Zhenghua looked at Chen Yang and gave him the highest praise. Upon hearing this, Chen Yang simply smiled and did not reply. As Yi Zhenghua said, his learning talent is indeed amazing, and he shines in many fields. This matter cannot be hidden, nor is there any need to hide it. Only by establishing this person's character can they naturally and logically learn other skills in the future. This will also save Chen Yang a lot of trouble. "Honey, the steamed buns you made are so delicious. Here, try it yourself." Yi Qingye leaned forward, and the two were less than 10 centimeters apart. If it weren't for the fact that her parents were there, she would have kissed them long ago. She tore a small piece off the bun and held it to Chen Yang's mouth. Seeing this, Chen Yang cooperated and ate the bun in one bite. The taste of the steamed bun exploded on his taste buds instantly. The taste is really good. However, there is still significant room for growth. Afterwards, everyone tried the dumplings made by Chen Yang. Thin-skinned and generously filled, bursting with savory flavor. Once you start eating it, you just can't stop. Just then, there was a knock on the door of the Yi family's house. Chen Yang walked over and opened the door, only to find Yang Li standing right in front of him. "Mr. Chen, here are the clothes you requested." Yang Li put the casual clothes into a bag, and then immediately delivered them to Chen Yang. "Thank you for making the trip." Chen Yang nodded. After taking the bag, he turned and walked towards the room. After spending some time changing his clothes, Chen Yang returned to the crowd. "In the morning, I had nothing to do." Yi Zhenghua then called Chen Yang into his study, intending to let him appreciate the calligraphy he had practiced diligently for many years. Expensive Chuan paper is laid flat on the desk, with an ink stone used to hold down both ends of the paper. Grind the ink and lightly dip the brush in the ink. Yi Zhenghua took up his pen and with a flourish wrote a poem. "Spring View by Du Fu. The country is broken, but the mountains and rivers remain. Spring has come to the city, but the grass and trees grow deep. Flowers shed tears at the passing of time. Birds startle at the sorrow of parting." The whole process was smooth and seamless. It is evident that Yi Zhenghua possesses extraordinary skill and profound foundation in calligraphy. "Chen Yang, what do you think of this calligraphy I wrote?" Yi Zhenghua smiled calmly, then asked Chen Yang. "The brushwork is exquisite, the strokes penetrating the paper. The characters are robust, grand, and powerful, possessing both strength and spirit, making it a masterpiece." Chen Yang's gaze fell on the Xuan paper, and he carefully studied Yi Zhenghua's calligraphy masterpiece. He pondered for a moment before offering his evaluation. "You've got quite the talk, kid. My handwriting shows skill, but it's not as good as you say." "That's what they say." But at this moment, Yi Zhenghua's lips curled up slightly, an expression he couldn't suppress. Chen Yang saw through it at a glance, but he didn't point it out directly. After all, everyone has a great deal of tacit understanding on certain matters. The fact is that Yi Zhenghua's calligraphy skills are indeed very high, with his own unique style and characteristics, making it highly distinctive. While not on par with professional calligraphy masters, he is definitely among the top amateur calligraphers. "Uncle Yi, I'd like to try writing one. Could you give me some pointers?" Chen Yang suddenly became interested and eager to try it out. "All right, let me see. With your talent, what kind of good calligraphy can you write?" Upon hearing this, Yi Zhenghua's eyes immediately showed some interest. He then immediately agreed with Chen Yang's approach. Seeing this, Chen Yang walked to the desk, took out another sheet of Xuan paper, laid it flat on the table, picked up the brush, and lightly dipped it in ink on the ink stone. After a few seconds of contemplation, Chen Yang began to write with flowing, elegant strokes. "Mooring at Maple Bridge at night, Shanghai. The moon sets crow's caw, frost fills the sky. River maples and fishing lights reflect my sorrowful sleep. Outside Suzhou City at Hanshin Temple, the midnight bell tolls, reaching the traveler's boat." The whole process was smooth and seamless, without the slightest hiccup. The characters are vigorous and powerful, flowing smoothly, written with ease, and possess a remarkable charm. Yi Zhenghua was immediately impressed by Chen Yang's calligraphy skills after just one glance. Host detected practicing calligraphy with a brush. Calligraphy proficiency plus 500. Calligraphy beginner 1,5000. At the same time, a virtual light screen suddenly appeared in front of Chen Yang's eyes, and a system notification sound rang in his ears. After a while, Yi Zhenghua finally composed himself and asked Chen Yang with a curious expression, "Chen Yang, you used to practice calligraphy." Chen Yang nodded and replied with a smile, "Yes, my uncle and father are both calligraphy enthusiasts. Under their influence, I started learning calligraphy in elementary school and practiced with them for several years. Later, when I went to high school, I didn't practice much because of the heavy workload. Instead, I started practicing calligraphy on my own. It wasn't until I went to university and joined a club that I practiced for a while again." "Uncle Yi, is my handwriting all right?" Yi Zhenghua exclaimed in amazement. "It's more than just possible, it has its own unique style and charm. If you have a famous teacher to guide you, you might have the chance to become a master calligrapher in the future." Upon hearing Yi Zhenghua's praise, Chen Yang immediately smiled. "Uncle Yi, I'm just an amateur calligraphy enthusiast. I just scribble around randomly and have no intention of developing into a professional calligrapher." Yi Zhenghua nodded. "Of course I understand, but your handwriting is really good. When you have time in the future, you can learn more from my grandfather. It will definitely benefit you a lot." Afternoon, Wen Jai and Wen Li agreed to go shopping together and get beauty treatments while they were there. Chen Yang and Yi Qingya had nothing else to do, so they went along. The 2 days of the weekend were happy and short, and I spent them in a fulfilling way. Monday morning, 9:00 a.m. Qingyang Financial Investment Company. When Chen Yang arrived at the office, his assistant Bai Yuxuan placed the detailed information about Tengsheng Entertainment Company that he had prepared on his desk. In addition, there were the latest editions of financial and economic newspapers, as well as contract documents that required his personal signature and approval. Chen Yang sat in his office chair and first finished processing the contract documents. Only then did I have time to look into the information about Tengsheng Entertainment Company. "Assistant Bai, come in for a moment." After a while, Chen Yang pressed the button on the landline and said. Not long after, there was a knock on the office door. The next second, Bai Yuxuan pushed open the door, strode up to Chen Yang, bowed slightly, and asked respectfully, "Mr. Chen, what are your instructions? Have you investigated the internal workings of Tengsheng Entertainment Company?" Chen Yang asked. Reporting to Mr. Chen, Tengsheng Entertainment has 2 founders, and according to publicly disclosed information, the company is currently controlled by these 2 founders. However, there are reports that one of the founders, Lei Guangyu, is planning to sell his company shares recently due to a shortage of funds. Based on the information we have so far, the situation regarding the transaction is clearly unclear. Bai Yuxuan is meticulous and composed in his actions. As early as when Chen Yang asked him to investigate the information and internal situation of Tengsheng Entertainment Company, he used all the resources at his disposal to collect information and intelligence. That's why it came in handy at this crucial moment. Chapter 268, the beginning of the acquisition. $1 billion invested in the futures market. Upon hearing this, Chen Yang nodded in satisfaction. He then asked, "I'm interested in acquiring Tengsheng Entertainment Company. Go and contact Lei Guangyu now to see when it's convenient for him so we can meet and discuss things in detail." "Yes, Mr. Chen." Bai Yuxuan readily agreed. Then he turned and walked out of the office, found a quiet corner, found Lei Guangyu's publicly available contact number, and immediately dialed it. The phone rang for 7 or 8 seconds, but no one answered. Just as Bai Yuxuan was about to give up, a deep, middle-aged man's voice suddenly came from the other end. "I am Lei Guangyu. Who are you?" "Hello, Mr. Lei. I am the founder of Qingyang Financial Investment Company and the assistant to Mr. Chen Yang. My surname is Bai, and my name is Bai Yuxuan. The reason I'm bothering you, Mr. Lei, is that our general manager Chen has heard that you're planning to sell your shares in Tengsheng Entertainment. Our CEO Chen is quite interested in this matter, so I'd like to ask CEO Lei when he'd be available to meet and discuss it in detail." Bai Yuxuan was completely unceremonious. He got straight to the point, explaining his identity and purpose to Lei Guangyu. Qingyang Financial Investment Company. Upon hearing Bai Yuxuan introduce himself, Lei Guangyu racked his brains for a long time. "I discovered that I had never even heard of this company. However, upon hearing that the other party was interested in shares of Tengsheng Entertainment, Lei Guangyu immediately perked up. He glanced at the time and replied, "I have a meeting this morning which will end around 10:30. At that time, I can find some time to meet with your general manager, Chen." After listening, Bai Yuxuan immediately replied respectfully, "Yes, Mr. Lei. I will convey your message to our general manager, Chen, truthfully." The call was immediately disconnected. Bai Yuxuan turned and walked towards the office. Soon, Bai Yuxuan appeared in front of Chen Yang and said respectfully, "President Chen, I have just communicated with President Lei of Tengsheng Company. He said he had a meeting in the morning. The meeting would end at around 10:30, and he would have time to meet with you then." Upon hearing this, Chen Yang nodded slightly. "Okay, you can contact him later and ask him to meet you at a coffee shop near the company." Bai Yuxuan understood. After dealing with this matter, Chen Yang got up and walked towards the company's investment department. Meanwhile, the investment department, after Ning Hao and the members of the investment department received the funds allocated by the company, each of them had to achieve certain KPIs. Thanks to the reward system implemented by Chen Yang, everyone felt both pressure and motivation. In order to win the generous prize money, everyone used all sorts of unique methods. But financial markets are constantly changing. That's why you see some people happy while others are worried. Ning Hao was a top talent recruited by Chen Yang through Huahua International Headhunting Company. His investment skills are exceptional. He achieved good results in just 1 week, but he did not become complacent because of it. After witnessing Chen Yang's incredible investment skills firsthand, he changed his mindset, took Chen Yang as his role model, and worked hard to catch up. Although Ning Hao knew in his heart that he would probably never be able to catch up with Chen Yang in this lifetime, he still learned a lot from Chen Yang and benefited greatly. Director Ning, General Manager Chen has come to the investment department. Just then, there was a rapid knocking on the office door. Soon, his trusted subordinate Han Fang strode in and reported to Ning Hao. "What?" Upon hearing this, Ning Hao's face immediately showed a look of shock. Immediately, he got up from his seat and walked towards the door. The investment department's office area. Everyone's eyes burned with anticipation as they turned to Chen Yang. "Mr. Chen, what brings you here? Is there any investment activity coming up?" Ning Hao quickly ran up to Chen Yang and asked respectfully, "I just checked the futures market and found some very good investment opportunities, so I came to let you know just in time." Ning Hao, immediately assemble an investment team and have the finance department prepare 1 billion yuan for investment. 10 minutes later, I will personally take charge of the trading. Chen Yang nodded slightly and gave instructions to Ning Hao. "Yes, Mr. Chen." Upon hearing this, Ning Hao readily agreed. Immediately, everyone in the investment department sprang into action. 9:40 a.m. Everything is ready. In a separate trading room, 8 carefully selected traders sat in front of their respective computers, logged into the company's investment accounts on the software. Each account held a sum of money, which, when added together, amounted to exactly 1 billion. "Chen Zhang, everything is ready. We're just waiting for your order and the brothers can immediately go into battle." Ning Hao walked up to Chen Yang and reported respectfully, "Good. Our target this morning is the futures market. Host detected preparing to invest in futures. The title of God of Investment is activated. God-level analytical and judgment abilities are manifesting. Gold futures rose plus 3%, then fell 2%. Silver futures rose plus 10% and fell 3%. Iron ore rose plus 8%, then fell 3%. Crude oil futures fell 5%, then rebounded plus 10%. It only lasted a moment. A virtual light screen appeared before Chen Yang's eyes, displaying detailed dynamic data on the rise and fall of various futures contracts. This gave Chen Yang a god-like perspective, as if he were taking an exam with the answers in hand. Chen Yang did not hesitate at all. "Now everyone will do as I command. We bought large amounts of gold, silver, iron ore, and palm oil futures. Short crude oil futures and fuel futures. Execute immediately." As soon as Chen Yang gave the order, the 8 traders immediately began trading, their hands moving rapidly across the mouse and keyboard. In less than 10 minutes, the funds in their account were completely depleted. The futures market is characterized by daily flows of billions, or even tens of billions of yuan. The investment of 1 billion yuan, and the fact that it was used to buy multiple futures contracts, did not cause much of a stir. After everyone completed the transactions, the futures prices immediately fluctuated within minutes. It may rise or fall. However, Chen Yang still performed exceptionally well, perfectly predicting the trend of each futures contract. In a short time, the company's account generated a considerable profit. The major players and speculative investors in the futures market seem to have also seized this investment opportunity and have begun to enter the market with large amounts of capital. Numerous financial institutions and individual investors have gradually formed a force. With everyone's support, many futures prices have continued to rise. Like a snowball, it gets bigger and bigger as it rolls on. During this period, two phenomena will occur. One type is to take profits when they're ahead, while the other is to be incredibly greedy and keep adding to their bets. That's how crazy the financial markets are. Risk and reward are directly proportional. Some people with big hearts dare to take the risk of collapse at any time and make a fortune. Some people, however, take a steady and cautious approach, earning only a small portion of the profits and never taking any risks. Everyone has their own unique way of investing, which can lead to sudden wealth, modest profits, or even financial ruin. Of course, as adults, everyone must be responsible for their own actions. Life is like a game of chess. Once a move is made, there's no going back. And often, those who can restrain their greed are the ones who can go further on this path. In reality, such people are very rare. Chapter 269, Reputation Function activated. Discuss acquisition matters with Lei Guangyu. The futures market is constantly changing. As the trading department staff bought various futures contracts following Chen Yang's instructions, prices began to skyrocket. Everyone stared at the computer screen, their faces filled with excitement and anticipation. Their eyes out of the corner of their eyes all glanced at Chen Yang. They will take action again as soon as Chen Yang gives the order. And so they waited patiently for almost 15 minutes. Chen Yang then spoke again, issuing new instructions. I liquidated all my futures positions in gold, silver, iron ore, and palm oil. Then I went short. Immediately liquidate your positions in crude oil futures and fuel futures. Then, reverse your positions and buy long. Keep your head clear, absolutely no mistakes allowed. Execute it now, immediately. As soon as Chen Yang finished speaking, everyone in the trading room went wild, shouting in unison. Yes, Mr. Chen. Soon, everyone focused their attention on futures trading, operating the instruments with serious expressions. After all, this involves hundreds of millions of dollars. If even a single digit or decimal point is entered incorrectly, it could cause huge losses to the company. Therefore, they will double-check before pressing the trade button to ensure that no trading accidents will occur. Otherwise, with their salaries, they wouldn't be able to afford the losses even if they worked their whole lives. 10 minutes later, as many traders completed their liquidation and resumed operations. The futures market is experiencing turmoil again. Those who are greedy and don't know when to stop will undoubtedly be successfully trapped. Qingyang Financial Investment Company, however, had already withdrawn and quickly recovered its huge cash flow, perfectly avoiding losses in a textbook manner. This move instantly won over everyone in the trading room, making them admire Chen Yang's investment prowess. A textbook financial investment has been detected, earning the heartfelt admiration of company employees and executives. Reputation function is being activated. Reputation points critical hit bonus doubled plus 100. Current cumulative reputation points, 100. Just then, a virtual light screen immediately popped up in front of Chen Yang's eyes, and a system notification sounded in his ears at the same time. So that's how the reputation system is activated. According to the system, if I accumulate 10,000 reputation points, I can use them to upgrade my master level skill to God level. I just don't know how these reputation points are calculated. As Chen Yang thought to himself, the system immediately replied, the host can obtain it by shocking others with his strength and gaining their heartfelt recognition. The prestige is estimated based on the other party's status, position, and industry influence. In other words, the more prestigious the other party's status, the higher the prestige value the host will receive. Upon hearing this, Chen Yang suddenly understood. This means that Chen Yang will need to interact more with celebrities in high society and use his own outstanding abilities to win them over in order to accumulate prestige more quickly. After fluctuating for more than half an hour, the futures market is approaching the point where profits can be maximized. Then, Chen Yang then spoke again, ordering all traders to liquidate their positions. Upon receiving the order, everyone immediately nodded, and began operating the mouse and keyboard with lightning speed. Finally, the position was liquidated before the morning futures market closed. Ning Hao, I'll leave the finishing touches here to you. Later, compile the investment returns into a document and send a copy to my office. Chen Yang raised his hand to look at the time on his wristwatch, and then said to Ning Hao, "Yes, Mr. Chen." Ning Hao nodded decisively in response. Soon, Chen Yang walked out of the investment department. Bai Yuxuan hurriedly stepped forward and said respectfully, "President Chen, Mr. Lei from Tengsheng Entertainment just called to say that he has arrived at the coffee shop." "Yes, let's go and meet him." Chen Yang nodded. After saying that, he strode towards the elevator. 15 minutes later, Chen Yang and Bai Yuxuan appeared at the entrance of the coffee shop. A quick glance ahead revealed a middle-aged man sitting on a sofa not far away. "Mr. Chen, this is Lei Guangyu, one of the founders of Tengsheng Entertainment Company. Su Heng, the current owner of Tengsheng Entertainment, was my college roommate, and we have a very close relationship." Chen Yang smiled calmly, then strode over. "Mr. Lei, hello. This is Bai Yuxuan who spoke to you on the phone earlier. This is my boss, Mr. Chen Yang, the founder of Qingyang Financial Investment Company." Bai Yuxuan bowed slightly and greeted Lei Guangyu. Immediately afterwards, he introduced Chen Yang's identity. "Mr. Chen is so accomplished at such a young age. He truly makes me feel ashamed." Lei Guangyu stood up from his seat and then reached out his hand to Chen Yang. Chen Yang shook hands lightly with Lei Guangyu, his eyes crinkling with a smile, and said, "Mr. Lei, I've long admired your name. Please have a seat." After exchanging polite greetings, both parties immediately took their seats. I waved to the waiter and ordered a drink. Their eyes met as they sized each other up. Finally, Lei Guangyu couldn't hold back any longer and went straight to the point. "President Chen, I heard from Assistant Bai that you are very interested in shares of Tengsheng Entertainment." "Yes, that's right. Didn't your company, Tengsheng Entertainment, suffer a malicious attack from a powerful force a few days ago, causing your stock price to plummet? At that time, I was investing in the financial market and happened to witness this scene. On a whim, I got involved." Chen Yang didn't shy away from the topic and nodded with a smile in acknowledgement. So the mysterious person who helped Tengsheng Company stabilize its stock price and overcome the difficulties was actually President Chen. Upon hearing this news, Lei Guangyu's face was filled with shock. He had heard Su Heng mention this before. Although he hadn't witnessed it firsthand, he could imagine how dangerous the process must have been. If it weren't for the timely intervention of the mysterious person, the stock price of Tengsheng Entertainment would likely have been driven down until it hit the daily limit, causing huge losses to the company. At the same time, it will cause shareholders to lose confidence in Tengsheng Entertainment. And that is the most fatal flaw. Good. I'm quite interested in Tengsheng Entertainment's shares. I wonder what price Mr. Lei is willing to offer." Chen Yang smiled and nodded, then said, "Mr. Chen, to be honest, my other investments have run into problems. Right now, I urgently need a large sum of money to fill the gaps. In addition, Tengsheng Entertainment has offended a certain media group, and the situation is not optimistic, so I want to sell my shares and leave. I own 40% of the shares in Tengsheng Entertainment, which, according to current market valuations, is worth at least 200 million yuan. If Chen Yang is truly interested in buying, then the price cannot be lower than this." Lei Guangyu didn't know whether Chen Yang truly had the ability to take over the business. However, this did not stop him from setting a price. "Mr. Chen, what Mr. Lei said is almost identical to the information I obtained from my investigation." At this moment, Bai Yuxuan stepped forward and whispered a reminder in Chen Yang's ear. "Okay, I understand." Chen Yang nodded slightly. Then he stared intently at Lei Guangyu and said with a smile, "Mr. Lei, 200 million is far too high. How about we make it straightforward and set the price at 180 million? If you agree, I will immediately notify the company's finance department to make the full payment." Chapter 270, Acquisition Price of 182 million. Additional Conditions. When Lei Guangyu saw Chen Yang immediately cut the price by 20 million, he immediately felt somewhat dissatisfied. Although Tengsheng Entertainment is not a top-tier company in the industry, it is still quite well known. Moreover, the company's performance in the first half of this year was very good. If it weren't for the incompetence of the company's artists, which caused the company to suffer undeserved disaster, and given his genuine financial difficulties, he would never have considered selling his company shares. After all, no matter what, he had put a lot of effort into this company. Mr. Chen, the price you're offering doesn't seem very sincere. As the saying goes, even a starved camel is bigger than a horse. Although the outside world is pessimistic about Tengsheng Entertainment, the company has stood firm in the industry for many years and still has some foundation. No matter how cheap it is, it can't be lower than the price I offered. Lei Guangyu suppressed his dissatisfaction. His gaze swept across Chen Yang's face as he replied calmly. Mr. Lei, that's true. But right now, there don't seem to be many people who can come up with such a large sum of money at once and take over all your shares in one go, right? According to my information, you have been in contact with many entertainment companies or capital firms in the industry. They have tried their best to lower your price, which has made your negotiations unsuccessful. I believe the price I offered was quite reasonable. Chen Yang smiled faintly and said. Before he came, he specifically looked at the information and data collected by Bai Yuxuan. Based on his analysis and judgment, the price he offered should not be too different from Lei Guangyu's target price. Therefore, the probability of reaching a deal is extremely high. The rest depends on how he negotiates with Lei Guangyu. In any case, just by talking, the company can save 20 million yuan in acquisition funds. This deal was incredibly profitable. Why not? As soon as Chen Yang said this, Lei Guangyu's expression immediately turned ugly. Even though he didn't want to admit it, Chen Yang was right. While shares in Tengsheng Entertainment are certainly worth a higher price, at this moment, they are a hot potato for most companies in the industry. After all, it has already been targeted by Rolling Stone Media Group. At this point, if any other company dares to interfere, it would undoubtedly be a slap in the face to Rolling Stone Media Group. If the price isn't lowered to maximize profits, it could lead to a falling out with Rolling Stone Media Group, which might not be a worthwhile deal. Therefore, Lei Guangyu's shares are destined not to fetch a high price. In comparison, the price Chen Yang offered was far higher than that of many entertainment companies in the industry. Most importantly, Lei Guangyu is short of working capital. Therefore, the acquisition price offered by Chen Yang at this time was extremely tempting to Lei Guangyu. In business, the highest bidder wins. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that. Mr. Chen, this price is really too low. Look, should we lift it up a bit more? Lei Guangyu narrowed his eyes and smiled at Chen Yang. Mr. Lei, I think you know the current situation of Tengsheng Entertainment better than I do. Acquiring your shares at this time also carries enormous risk. Therefore, this price is already the limit. Of course, if you're willing to agree to one condition, I can add another 2 million to this price. Chen Yang kept his eyes fixed on Lei Guangyu. After a moment, he slowly spoke. I would like to hear the details. A hint of doubt flashed in Lei Guangyu's eyes. He patiently met Chen Yang's gaze and spoke. I heard that Mr. Lei and Mr. Su were college roommates and have a very close relationship. So I hope you can persuade him to sell his company shares to me, so that I can gain complete control of Tengsheng Entertainment. Chen Yang smiled lightly. That's almost impossible. I had the idea of selling my company shares because I needed funds to fill the gaps in my business. But Su Heng is different. He is not short of money, and he is the founder of the company. He has a deeper affection for the company than most people. He would never go to such lengths unless absolutely necessary. After hearing Chen Yang's conditions, Lei Guangyu's face immediately showed a troubled expression. Because, in his view, this was an extremely difficult task, and he had no confidence whatsoever. Whether it succeeds or not is another matter, but at least we should try. If Mr. Lei agrees, I will acquire all your shares in Tengsheng Entertainment for 182 million. Chen Yang said calmly, Okay, let's go with 182 million. After I get back, I will discuss this matter with Mr. Su and give you an answer as soon as possible. Lei Guangyu hesitated for a moment. In the end, she chose to agree to the price and conditions offered by Chen Yang. Mr. Lei, I wish us a pleasant cooperation. Chen Yang stood up and extended his hand to Lei Guangyu. Lei Guangyu immediately stood up, grasped Chen Yang's hand, and said with emotion, Chen Yang founded a financial company at a young age and made a big acquisition of Tengsheng Entertainment Company. He must be planning to make a big splash next. I hope we will have the opportunity to cooperate again in the future. Chen Yang smiled gently and replied, It will happen. After the cooperation agreement was finalized, the two exchanged contact information and went their separate ways. Evening. A high-end private club. Lei Guangyu booked a private room and invited Su Heng to meet him there. Old Lei, a lot of things have happened at the company these past few days that need to be dealt with. Why aren't you at the company? Where have you gone to find some peace and quiet again? Let me tell you, if you keep going like this, our company might go bankrupt one day. Su Heng walked into the private room and plopped down on the high-end leather sofa. He didn't give Lei Guangyu a friendly look, and his words carried a hint of dissatisfaction. After all, the company was co-founded by the two of them. But Su Heng was clearly more attentive and devoted more energy to it than Lei Guangyu. In particular, the company recently offended Rock Records because of issues involving its artists. Su Heng was troubled by this matter and tried every possible way to change the situation, but he failed to achieve any results. At such a crucial juncture, Lei Guangyu's nonchalant and unserious attitude only fueled Su Heng's anger. Old Su, don't be angry. I specifically invited you here tonight. Firstly, because it's been a while since we sat down alone for a proper chat and a drink. Secondly, there's something I need to tell you. Lei Guangyu grinned. He then picked up the bottle and filled the glass. Then he handed the wine glass to Su Heng and said with a somewhat serious expression. Seeing this scene, Su Heng's expression softened, and he stared intently at Lei Guangyu, curious about what he was up to. Fine, I'll see what you're up to. After, Lei Guangyu then told Su Heng about his meeting with Chen Yang that day, and the results of the negotiations. Upon hearing this, Su Heng's face immediately filled with shock. After a long pause, he asked Lei Guangyu, Old Lei, do you mean that when our company's stock price was maliciously attacked by Rolling Stone Media Group, it was Mr. Chen, the founder of Qingyang Financial Investment Company, who stepped in to help our company resolve the crisis? And that's why he became interested in our company and is planning to acquire it. Chapter 271, Lei Guangyu and Su Heng's shock. Rottenwood cannot be carved. Yes, that's right. Mr. Chen told me that himself. To prevent him from making up stories, I even asked my friends in the financial industry. After inquiring, I was completely dumbfounded. This company, Qingyang Financial Investment, has become famous in the financial circle in just over a month since its establishment, and is almost a household name. Lei Guangyu's words immediately shocked and intrigued Su Heng. How is this possible? It's just a startup. How could it become famous in the industry? Could it be that this general manager Chen has a very powerful background? Lei Guangyu shook his head. Instead of keeping him in suspense, he explained. Old Su, you'd never guess. This company has caught the eye of Qin Dong, the eldest son of the powerful Qin family in Shanghai, because of its impressive performance. He invested in Qingyang Financial Investment Company in the name of Qin Group, officially becoming a shareholder of the company. In addition, the well-known Weihai Group and Tianhuan Group have also invested and become shareholders of the company. Moreover, according to rumors, these three groups each invested 1 billion yuan to acquire a 10% stake in Qingyang Financial Investment Company. This means that in the eyes of these large groups, this startup company is already valued at over 10 billion yuan. This is absolutely the first case in the entire financial industry. Therefore, some people say that the company's founder, Chen Yang, has an extremely powerful background and a distinguished status. Others say that Chen Yang has an extraordinary talent for investing and has never lost a single investment. In just over a month, it brought in hundreds of millions of yuan in revenue for the company. This is why it attracted the attention of Qin's Group, Weihai Group, and Tianhuan Group, and ultimately led to a strategic partnership. Lei Guangyu became more and more excited as he spoke. Su Heng found it all rather unbelievable and like a fantasy. But Su Heng's intuition told him that none of this was something Lei Guangyu had made up out of thin air. After all, they had the ability to easily help Tencent Entertainment out of a predicament under the malicious attack of Rock Records Group, not only stopping the stock price decline, but also successfully boosting it. Such masterful skill is something that ordinary people cannot easily achieve. And this had only happened a few days before Chen Yang came to visit, and everything seemed to have a pattern. Or rather, the entire course of events was under the control of the other party. This includes acquiring the shares held by Lei Guangyu, and having him act as an intermediary to acquire the shares held by him. It is not difficult to see from these things that the other party is meticulous, good at planning, and understands human nature. Old Lei, after all you've said, you're just trying to act as a mouthpiece for this Mr. Chen, to get me to sell my company shares to him, right? Su Heng interrupted Lei Guangyu directly, staring at him and asking, Old Su, I know you have a deep affection for the company and don't want to sell it. But now that things have come to this, do you have a better choice? Leaving aside President Chen's determination to acquire Tengsheng Entertainment, the targeting and suppression from Rolling Stone Media Group alone is enough to leave you helpless. You put in so much effort, but in the end you still couldn't do anything. Instead of doing that, it would be better to sell the shares to President Chen and at least make some money for retirement. It's much better than watching the company decline step by step and eventually go bankrupt. Of course, if you really can't bear to part with the company, then you should have a good talk with President Chen. Sell him most of the company's shares, keep only a small portion for yourself, and continue to be your general manager, helping him manage the company well. That might be a good solution. Lei Guangyu's words were rough, but his reasoning was sound, offering Su Heng a different perspective. To be honest, this made Su Heng somewhat tempted. Su Heng knew that with his current strength, he was simply unable to help Teng Sheng Entertainment completely overcome its difficulties. Rather than watching it decline, it's better to hand it over to Chen Yang, who is more capable. Perhaps, under his leadership, Teng Sheng Entertainment will flourish and become a well-known entertainment company in the industry. I need to think about it carefully, and I can't give you an answer right now. Su Heng fell into deep thought. He became hesitant and uncertain. On the one hand, it was his own reluctance to part with the years of hard work he had put into running Teng Sheng Entertainment. On the other hand, and very realistically, without introducing new capital, the company simply cannot improve its core competitiveness, cultivate its expertise in the industry, or strive for advancement. In the increasingly competitive entertainment industry, without capital, there is no voice. The cake is only so big. Without enough ability, you're destined to only eat other people's leftovers. Emerging outstanding artists, talented directors from prestigious universities, veteran divas, award-winning actors, rising idols, popular actresses, cinema resources, media resources, television stations, various approval departments. All high-quality resources will always be firmly controlled by capital. If you don't get a good hand, don't even dream of playing a winning hand. Becoming an overnight sensation and soaring to great heights are destined to remain mere fantasies. Su Heng was once a very ambitious and aspiring person. In his youth, he was spirited and unruly, but under the repeated suppression of capital and the trampling of rules, his edges were gradually worn down. Ultimately, Teng Sheng Entertainment could only linger in the second tier of the industry, neither rising nor falling. Old Su, trust me this once. If you really want to work hard in this industry and have a dream of building the company into a top-tier entertainment company, you should definitely accept Mr. Chen's offer to acquire it. Then, he used his resources and connections to continuously contribute to the company's growth. If the two of you work together closely, you can definitely revive Teng Sheng Entertainment and bring it to the top of the industry. Lei Guangyu spoke earnestly to Su Heng, offering his advice. Old Lei, you're really spineless. It's just that Chen Yang acquired your shares. Is it really necessary to speak so highly of him? Su Heng shook his head helplessly and said irritably, Old Su, it seems you still don't understand what President Chen really means to you. Think about it carefully. If he weren't capable, would young Master Qin value him so much and invest in his company? All right, even if young Master Qin misjudged, what about the chairman of Tianhuan Group and the chairman of Weihai Group? They are both bigwigs in Shanghai's business world, top figures at the very top. Given their status and position, why would they choose to invest in President Chen's company? Do you think they want Mr. Chen to make money for them? Or are they supporting President Chen? Such a powerful backer and benefactor have come to your door on their own initiative, and you don't know how to cherish and seize the opportunity, but instead you're pulling this stunt on me. If you ask me, you really deserve to never get rich. Lei Guangyu looked at Su Heng with disappointment and frustration. This guy is great in every way, except he's too controlling and gets stuck on things too much. Having strong business skills does not necessarily mean being suitable to be a company leader. Lacking a long-term strategic vision and a broad perspective. In the end, it was just a piece of rotten wood. Not only will it fail to elevate the company to greater heights, it will also lead it astray, taking it further and further away from success. Chapter 272. Practical sparring leads to a surge in proficiency and enhanced combat power. Upon hearing Lei Guangyu's words, Su Heng was immediately enlightened. Only then did he understand why Lei Guangyu was so eager to please Chen Yang and speak well of him. It turns out he had already foreseen this relationship. Old Lei, you're right. I misunderstood and went down a dead end. I will carefully consider your proposal and give you a reply within 2 days at the earliest. Su Heng took a deep breath. Then he spoke to Lei Guangyu. Okay, then I'll wait for your good news. After all, I'm in a hurry to sell my shares to cover the losses in other businesses, and I really can't wait much longer. Upon hearing this, Lei Guangyu immediately smiled with satisfaction. Thus, he had completed half of the task assigned by Chen Yang. He believed that Su Heng, being such a cautious person, would definitely investigate Chen Yang's background in private and verify the truthfulness of what he said. Once confirmed, given Lei Guangyu's years of understanding of Su Heng, he will surely make the right choice. Monday morning, just before 7 o'clock. After washing up, Chen Yang changed into a tracksuit and went out of the villa to jog around the neighborhood to warm up. He didn't have time to exercise the other day and felt like something was missing. Now that his daily routine has returned to normal, he naturally intends to continue this habit. Yang Li and his 2 bodyguards gradually figured out their boss Chen Yang's lifestyle. So they all changed into shorts and vests and followed behind Chen Yang, exercising with him. Chen Yang ran a full lap around the neighborhood, but barely broke a sweat. He stretched his hands and feet, then walked to an open space, assumed a starting stance, and began practicing Chinese martial arts. Host detected practicing Bagua Yulong Palm, proficiency plus 500. 8 trigram swimming dragon palm, advanced, 30010000. Host detected practicing Hung Kuan, proficiency plus 200. Hung Kuan beginner level, 305000. Host detected practicing military grappling techniques, proficiency plus 200. Military grappling techniques, beginner level, 305000. Host detected practicing the Black Dragon 18 hands, proficiency plus 200. Black Dragon 18 hands beginner level, 305000. His proficiency in various martial arts and combat techniques has steadily improved. But Chen Yang was clearly still not satisfied with this. Practice alone won't improve proficiency quickly. Perhaps only real combat can lead to significant improvement. To verify his conjecture, Chen Yang immediately looked at Yang Li standing to the side. Immediately, he walked up to Yang Li and said with a light laugh, "Captain Yang, how about we have a spar? When I practice alone, I always feel like I can't break through the bottleneck. I want to see if I can gain some insights through actual combat." Yang Li was taken aback at first, then replied, "President Chen, fists and feet have no eyes. Are you sure you really want to do this?" "It's all right. I'm confident I can handle things properly. Nothing will go wrong," Chen Yang said with a smile. "In that case, I shall accept your offer. Mr. Chen, please give me your guidance." Seeing Chen Yang's confident expression, Yang Li's worries were completely dispelled. He observed Chen Yangchen's training for several days and could clearly feel that the opponent's strength was in no way inferior to his own. If a fight really breaks out, it's still uncertain who will win and who will lose. Most martial arts practitioners are brave and aggressive and like to compete to see who is better. Yang Li was no exception. However, given his status, it was indeed inappropriate for him to directly confront Chen Yang. Therefore, even if Yang Li had such a thought in his mind, he quickly suppressed it. But Chen Yang took the initiative to propose a sparring match, which was exactly what Yang Li wanted. After feigning reluctance for a while, Yang Li agreed to fight Chen Yang without hesitation. This will also give us a real feel for just how strong Chen Yang really is. Not long after, Chen Yang and Yang Li stood facing each other, no more than a meter apart. "Captain Yang, let's begin." Chen Yang smiled faintly and gestured to Yang Li. "Mr. Chen, I apologize for the inconvenience." After speaking, Yang Li pushed off the ground with both legs and rushed towards Chen Yang in one stride. He aimed his fist at Chen Yang's chest and slammed it down hard. Fast, accurate, and ruthless, these 3 key principles were applied to the fullest extent. Chen Yang's eyes narrowed, and the next second he shifted his body to the right, effortlessly dodging Yang Li's fist. He used his military grappling techniques to grab Yang Li's arm with his backhand. The latter quickly pulled back and delivered a whip kick aimed at Chen Yang's waist. Chen Yang blocked with his right arm, grabbed Yang Li's ankle with his other hand, and slammed him down from his waist, sending Yang Li flying. Yang Li flipped in the air, forcibly dissipating most of the force. After landing, he still staggered back 7 or 8 steps before barely managing to regain his balance. With just this one move, Yang Li was completely at a disadvantage. The difference in their strengths is immediately apparent. "Mr. Chen, your grappling skills have not only reached the basics, but have even reached the initial stage. Coupled with your amazing reaction speed, I have been completely outmatched. I have lost this contest." Yang Li acknowledged Chen Yang's strength, then admitted his inferiority. To be honest, he had considered the possibility of defeat, but he never expected to lose so quickly and so completely. They were almost completely powerless and were easily crushed. Moreover, Yang Li could tell that Chen Yang hadn't used his full strength at all. Detected that the host is sparring with Special Forces King Yang Li. Military Grappling Skill Proficiency Critical Strike plus 1000. Military Grappling Techniques Beginner Level 4500. Soon, Chen Yang heard a system notification, which completely confirmed his judgment. Practicing diligently will certainly increase your proficiency. However, in actual combat, the rate of skill improvement will undoubtedly be faster. Captain Yang, you are very strong, but obviously my talent is not weak. Our purpose is to learn from each other, not to determine who is better. So, there's no need to be too obsessed with winning or losing. Come on, let's continue. Practice with me some more. Chen Yang said with a smile. Mr. Chen is right. You take someone's money, so you're expected to solve their problems. Moreover, the salary and benefits offered by Chen Yang were simply too generous. Therefore, within his capabilities, Yang Li would naturally do his best to meet all of Chen Yang's needs. Chen Yang's strength also improved at a visible rate during his sparring with Yang Li. Host detected sparring with Yang Li using Bagua Yulong Palm. Proficiency Critical Hit plus 1000. 8 trigrams Swimming Dragon Palm, Advanced Level, 4000. Host detected using Hung Quan in a sparring match with Yang Li. Proficiency Critical Hit plus 1000. Hung Quan Beginner Level, 4500. Host detected using the Black Dragon 18 hands in actual combat with Yang Li. Proficiency Critical Hit plus 1000. Black Dragon 18 hands Beginner Level, 4500. Chen Yang fought with increasing ferocity, while Yang Li grew more and more apprehensive. Later on, they were completely powerless to resist. Mr. Chen, I surrender, Yang Li said helplessly to Chen Yang. His body is constantly trained, and he has plenty of stamina. However, after sparring with Chen Yang, he found that his stamina was simply insufficient, and he was sweating profusely all over. In contrast, although Chen Yang was out of breath, he was in much better condition than Yang Li. Yang Li inwardly exclaimed that this person was a monster. If he continues to fight like this, he'll eventually develop a phobia of Chen Yang's training. To avoid this situation, Yang Li decisively chose to concede defeat. Chapters 273-274. A wise man avoids standing under a dangerous wall. School Beauty Yi showcases her musical skills. On the side, the other two bodyguards were also completely shocked by what they saw. They knew all too well just how terrifying Yang's strength was as the captain of the Sharp Sword Commando team. You can witness the entire process of Yang Li and Chen Yang sparring together. They then truly realized what it means to be outmatched, to be in a world of endless possibilities, and to always find a higher mountain to climb. Yang Li was completely overwhelmed and had no chance to fight back. Chen Yang, on the other hand, used a variety of attack methods, and each time he managed to push Yang Li to the brink of despair. The difference in strength between the two is immediately apparent. I really don't understand. The boss is far more capable than us, so why does he still pay us high salaries to be his bodyguards and protect his safety? Isn't this just a waste of money? Cao Jun said to his partner Zhang San. Haven't you heard that those who drown are all good swimmers, and those who are beaten to death are all people who consider themselves highly capable? As the saying goes, a wise man does not stand under a dangerous wall. The richer a person is, the more he cherishes his life and will never put himself in a desperate situation. Could it be that just because the boss is so powerful, he has to risk his life every time something happens? It's foolish to have money but not hire skilled bodyguards and do everything yourself every time. No matter how strong an individual is, they can never defeat an army of thousands. What if the boss's enemy is unethical and hires dozens or even hundreds of people at a high price to use a war of attrition? Wouldn't the boss be worked to death? Zhang San was clearly more intelligent and instantly saw through the true nature of the matter. Intelligent people are good at thinking, planning carefully before acting, and never put themselves in danger. In dire circumstances, Chen Yang's formidable martial prowess becomes crucial for his self-preservation. Old Zhang, it has to be you. You actually came up with so many ideas. No wonder you're a college student. You're much better than me, an illiterate junior high school graduate. Cao Jun touched his nose and laughed awkwardly. After my morning exercise, I returned to the villa. Aunt Li had already prepared breakfast, and Yi Qingya also got up and came to the living room from the second floor. Chen Yang greeted Yi Qingye, and then went back to his room to take a shower and change clothes. 20 minutes later, the two sat down at the table to eat breakfast. Honey, I think our house is quite empty, so I'm thinking of buying a piano to put in the house. You can even play a little something in your spare time. What do you say? Yi Qingye's gaze suddenly fell on Chen Yang's face, a hint of expectation flashing across her face, and she asked, "Piano, honey, you can play the piano." A hint of surprise flashed in Chen Yang's eyes. Of course, when I was very young, my grandfather intentionally cultivated my interests and hobbies. I wouldn't say I'm proficient in everything from music and chess to calligraphy and painting, but at least I've studied them for a few years. And my favorite things are dancing and playing the piano, and I'm pretty good at them. If my family hadn't stopped me, I almost would have applied to art school with Yao Yao. Yi Qingye nodded, a confident expression immediately appearing on her face. Really, I'd love to see it for myself if I had the chance. It's just a piano, right? As long as my wife likes it, I'll get it for you right away. I remember there's a piano called Steinway. We'll go out and buy it in a bit. Chen Yang held Yi Qingye's hand, his eyes crinkling with a smile, and spoke in a doting tone. As far as Chen Yang is concerned, he will do his best to satisfy Yi Qingye's every whim. After all, the reason he works so hard to earn money is to give his wife and family a better life. Good. Yi Qingye smiled gently and nodded. After breakfast, Chen Yang and Yi Qingye dressed up a little, got into the van, and headed towards the piano store. An hour later, a particularly famous music store in Shanghai. The hall is filled with various high-end and expensive piano brands. Chen Yang and Yi Qingye walked into the hall hand in hand, and then strolled around and looked around. At the same time, a young, beautiful woman with a dignified figure and a very elegant demeanor sat upright in front of a piano. Her hands gently landed on the black and white piano keys. The next moment, a series of lively and melodious notes rang out, instantly attracting the attention of everyone in the hall. Her piano skills are superb, which can be seen from her calm and composed performance of an entire piano piece. The melodious music seemed to elevate one's soul. The Alice Fantasy is a very difficult piece. She played very smoothly with almost no mistakes. It's just that her fingering and the keys weren't quite in sync, which caused the last few notes to be half a beat late. It's hard for non-professionals to hear. Therefore, her piano skills should be above level 8. Yi Qingye leaned close to Chen Yang's ear and whispered her explanation. Wife, you know so much. Chen Yang smiled slightly and said, Host detected watching Zheng Xiying perform Alice's Fantasy. Piano skill activated. Piano skill proficiency plus 1000. Piano skills improved to beginner level 05000. Just then, a virtual light screen suddenly popped up in front of Chen Yang's eyes, and at the same time, a system notification sounded in his ears. The next second, a flood of memories surged into his mind. It contains all the basic knowledge of piano, fingering, repertoire, playing experience, etc. Ultimately, it was digested and absorbed by Chen Yang's extraordinary brain and transformed into his own skills. The song ended. The audience applauded, expressing their approval of the pianist's skill. Afterwards, Chen Yang and Yi Qingye strolled around the hall and finally stopped at a Steinway piano that looked luxurious, high-end, and classy. Honey, what do you think of this piano? Yi Qingye asked Chen Yang. Steinway series professional-grade pianos, priced between 1.2 million and 1.5 million. It looks pretty good. Chen Yang smiled and said, Then I'll give it a try. After receiving Chen Yang's affirmation, Yi Qingye sat upright on the stool. Her slender, white fingers slowly landed on the black and white piano keys. The next moment, she gently struck a note. Ding-dong, ding-ding. A Bach etude was played between Yi Qingye's fingers. The whole process was smooth and flowing, with melodious music that was a delight to listen to. Inside the music store, many customers were drawn to Yi Qingye. I was attracted by her angelic face and moved by her piano skills. This moment, Yi Qingye radiated brilliance, exuding an astonishing charm. A few minutes later, as the music faded, everyone remained immersed in the scene, unable to pull themselves away for a long time. Yi Qingye, however, had already stood up and walked to Chen Yang, asking in a coquettish tone, Honey, how did I play? Wasn't it great? Of course, in my heart you will always be the best and no one can compare to you. Chen Yang gently stroked Yi Qingye's delicate nose with his finger. His eyes were full of doting affection as he spoke. Hello, sir and madam. I am Liu Hui, the owner of the music store. I am very happy to be able to appreciate this lady's superb piano skills. Excuse me, do either of you have a piano in mind that you'd like to buy? At this moment, a middle-aged man dressed very formally strode towards Chen Yang and Yi Qingye. They were dressed in luxurious clothes and had an extraordinary air about them. So he smiled slightly and asked in a respectful tone, Chapter 274, I want this custom-made Steinway piano. I'll spend a fortune for school beauty Yi. Looking around, all the guests who visit this music store are dressed and speak with great refinement. After all, the piano is one of the most beloved art forms among the wealthy. Whether it's training a pianist or attending a world-renowned piano master's concert tour, the costs are far beyond what ordinary families can afford. Steinway pianos are a high-end luxury brand. A single one of these can easily cost hundreds of thousands. Without sufficient financial resources, ordinary people would never set foot here. Having run a music store for over a decade, Liu Hui has long since developed a keen eye for recognizing talent. He could tell at a glance that Yi Qingye's piano skills were extraordinary. It must have been from a young age, with consistent practice over the years. Otherwise, it would have been impossible for one's musical skills to reach such a high level. These are usually the main customers of music stores. After all, only they would genuinely love the piano and be willing to pay for an expensive one. Therefore, Liu Hui came over and took the initiative to greet Chen Yang and Yi Qingye. Mr. Liu, it's a pleasure to meet you. My fiancé really likes this Steinway in front of me. I wonder what its price is. Chen Yang met Liu Hui's gaze and nodded slightly. He then asked with a faint smile, Sir, your fiancé has excellent taste. This is a custom-made Steinway piano commissioned by a customer last year. However, due to some unforeseen circumstances, the order was ultimately canceled. I just placed it in the hall, waiting for the right person to come along. Liu Hui first praised Yi Qingye's taste. Then the conversation shifted. Sir, because it is a custom-made model, the price will be significantly higher than other series. Currently, its price is 1.45 million. Are you sure you want to buy it? Most people would react to this price. It may have been surprising or unexpected. Chen Yang, however, remained calm and was not intimidated by the price at all. After all, with his current investment capabilities, he can bring the company tens of millions or even hundreds of millions of profits every day. A Steinway piano worth 1.45 million yuan is entirely within his means. The most crucial point is that Yi Qingye genuinely likes him. Therefore, no matter how expensive the price, he will do his best to satisfy it. Certainly, Mr. Liu, I'll take this Steinway piano. Chen Yang nodded with a smile. He didn't haggle, nor did he waste any unnecessary words. Instead, they bought it directly, their actions incredibly swift. Upon seeing this, Liu Hui was taken aback. Clearly, he hadn't expected Chen Yang to be so decisive. This Steinway custom piano, valued at 1.45 million yuan, is something that even if someone has the means to buy it, they will still have to think twice. Liu Hui has rarely seen someone as straightforward as Chen Yang in all his years in the industry. Sir, you are indeed a man of few words. Please leave your address and contact information so I can immediately arrange for staff to safely deliver this piano to your home. Liu Hui smiled warmly and said, My surname is Chen, and my given name is Chen Yang. My mobile phone number is 132 XXXX 6217, and I live at number 13, Block A, Overseas Chinese Town Villas. Then Chen Yang gave Liu Hui his home address and phone number. Liu Hui took out a pen and notebook he had prepared with him from his pocket and carefully wrote them down. After confirming that everything was correct, he replied to Chen Yang, Mr. Chen, I have noted down your contact information. I will arrange for staff to deliver the goods to your door this morning. Please be prepared to hand them over. Seeing that Chen Yang lived in a top-tier villa area in Shanghai, Liu Hui suddenly realized what was going on. Why did Chen Yang buy this 1.45 million yuan Steinway piano without even batting an eye? It turns out the other party has astonishing financial resources. A mere million or so is probably just a drop in the ocean compared to his wealth. Chen Yang nodded slightly. After that, he took Yi Qingye's hand and left the music store. Chen Yang went to work at the company, and then had someone send Yi Qingye back to the villa. The music store is very efficient. 2 hours later, the custom-made Steinway piano was delivered to the villa. Upon receiving the call, Chen Yang immediately had Yi Qingye sign for the package. Yi Qingye then had the staff move the piano to the open space near the window in the first-floor hall of the villa. After the staff left, Yi Qingye couldn't wait to take out her phone and take photos from various angles. then sent them to Chen Yang to share her joy. Qingyang Financial Investment Company. The boss's office. Chen Yang sat in his boss's chair, his gaze fixed on the two computer screens in front of him. Suddenly, my phone started ringing. This sound was extremely special. It was specially set up by Chen Yang for Yi Qingya. Upon seeing this, Chen Yang immediately stopped working and reached for his phone to check. Soon, he discovered that Yi Qingya had sent him several pictures of custom Steinway pianos. Below, a message was also attached. My dear wife, honey, the piano arrived. I've placed it here and it looks quite nice mixed in with the surroundings. Thank you for the gift, honey. Love you, Georgian Kaga Anus. Letter 1D17, sending you love. Chen Yang quickly replied via voice message. Honey, I'll buy you anything you like. You stay home and rest well. I'll cook you something delicious when I get back after I'm done with work. My dear wife, thank you, honey. You are the best husband in the world. Then you go ahead and get back to